Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the second semi-final of the URC. This one, a South African derby. The Bulls taking on the Sharks. Now, this game, it should be a very entertaining one. These two sides have met twice throughout the season. Both of those times, it has actually been the Sharks who have walked away with the victory. But the overall standings, the Bulls are higher, and they're in some pretty good form heading into the semi-final. This is the way that the top 8 sat. As you can see, only the one victory separating the Bulls and the Sharks, who finished second and third for the overall standings. But with the other semi-final confirming who will make it through to the final, we know it is Leinster who are hosting the winner of this match. And that game will be taking place in Ireland at Croke Park. Does mean that it's going to be a bit more challenging for whoever wins this match. But I mentioned about it on the last live stream. It is also an opportunity to be the first South African side to get a win in a final away from home. But looking through at the starting lineups, we will start with the Bulls. They are stacked for this match. Jan-Hendrik Wessel, Johan Grobbelaar and Wilco Louw as the front row. Now, both of these sides pride themselves on their scrums. Although the Bulls, when they get that scrum really rolling, it's extremely hard to not give away the penalty. Cobus Visa and J.F. van Huren will be the locking duo, with Marcel Kutsia, Ruan Nokia and Cameron Honeycomb slotting in as the number 8, and Bros Papia alongside the return of Johan Goosen. Now, the kicking last week was less than ideal for the Bulls, so to have someone with the stability of Goosen back, it will be absolutely massive for this Bulls outfit. Harold Foster in the midfield alongside David Creel, then Sebastian de Klerk, Kanan Moody and Willie Leroux, the man of the moment, the man of the match, who I feel just stepped up to the next level in that game up against Edinburgh. If he can do that same thing again, the Bulls have a good chance of winning this contest. But looking at the Sharks side that are across from them, of course, a few Springboks throughout that Bulls side. Same can be said about the Sharks. Oxnashare, Bongi Umbanambi and Vincent Koch, an all-Springbok front row going up against the all-Springbok front row of the Bulls. This is definitely going to raise some stocks, maybe lower a couple others. But Rassie will be keeping a very close eye on this game. Corne Ral alongside Emil van Heeren. No Jason Jenkins and no Eben Etzebeth for the Sharks locking duo. James Venter, Vincent Tichuka and Sia Khaleesi again will be playing the number 8. Jaden Hendrickse. That man was popular and unpopular throughout this week. I almost said wink there, but of course that is what it was all about. They did win in golden point, or in fact extra time, past that to the playoff of kicking. It was confusing, but in the end the Sharks got the job done. He was one of the men taking the kicks alongside Jordan Hendrickse, his brother, in the number 10 jersey. Andre Esterhuizen and Lucanio in the middle of the field, with Makazole Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker and Apalele Fasi as the number 15. Looking through at the chat, and then we will be looking at the bench. We have got the I Like the Sharks Rugby, says Hendrick, Bulls by 8. Is LFG's prediction that first scrum going to be brutal? Absolutely. I feel like Oxnashare versus Wilco Louw is something that, like, for those who don't like scrums, of course they won't really care, but for those who like seeing the scrums and the way that they work, the mechanics of them, that is a dream matchup there at scrum time, seeing Wilco up against Ox in their first scrum. So do Leinster playing in the final? They certainly are. They will be at home as well for that final. So at Croke Park in Ireland, whoever wins this game pretty much jumps straight on a plane and has to head over for next week's game. Good evening, me, says Regan there. And all in Mike, says Regan. And Jaden brought his wink with him, says Wemma. And hi, Hamish and everybody. And Rassie can learn from Jake. Only reason Rassie got 2 World Cups is because Jake got sacked after winning because of B, remember. Says no more dad bod. And also Sharks have a tendency to bugger out or bugger around hoping for the best. Well, that's the thing. The Sharks, they've had a few mixed bags kind of performances as of late. Every once in a while, they have an absolutely shining game. But they have had so many handling errors throughout the last little while, and it can be incredibly frustrating to watch, because in games where they should have won comfortably, they lost control and they allowed the opposition back into it. Now, looking at their previous fixtures, just in recent times, these are the matches that they have played. They won their quarterfinal up against Munster, as you can see there, 24-24, but that was not how the game ended. We had 20 minutes of golden point or extra time, and no one was able to get any points on the board. The Sharks did turn down a 3 during that time, so luckily for them, they were able to win the penalty shootout type kicking arrangement. The week before that, they were able to beat the Scarlets. That was a bit the same as the game up against Munster. Far too many handling errors for a side of the calibre of the Sharks team. And then up against the Ospreys, they also got themselves the victory. So actually coming in with a nice little win streak here for the Sharks heading into this fixture. For the Bulls, a little bit the same. They were able to beat Cardiff, then they beat the Dragons, and then they were able to win up against Edinburgh in that quarterfinal last week. 42 points to 33, a high-scoring one between the two sides, but definitely, I would say, a Willie le Roux masterclass is the best way to describe it. He was absolutely everywhere, and like I mentioned, having Johan Goosen returning for this game, going to be a massive boost for the Bulls as well. Looking through at the benches in this matchup, it is Aka van der Merwe, Martin Zima, and Morne Smith as the front row replacements for the Bulls. Kirsten alongside Marco van Staden in the other forward replacements. Then Zach Berger, Keegan Johannes, and Devin Williams as the number 23 for the Sharks. They've got Mbata and Mchunu, I should say, and Hanro Jacobs. Slabert alongside Pepsi Buthelezi, who did bring a bit of an impact, I felt, off the bench last week up against Munster. Bradley Davids, that guy was cool, calm, and collected when the pressure was on, slotting over his 2 kicks in the penalty shootout. Lorenzo Julius, a man who I think should have been included in the 23 last week, now gets back in there, and Yapinka as the number 23. Looking at the 2 times that these two sides have faced off throughout this year. Now, they have played at home, they have played away, and one thing has been consistent, and that is Sharks victories. They have actually managed to beat this side from Loftus twice, or from Pretoria, I should say. But yeah, they've been pretty impressive when it comes to these Bulls Sharks derbies, which is why, for those who are already putting the Bulls through to the final up against Leinster, Sharks want to prove otherwise. 2 stat sides, 2 very entertaining styles of rugby. It is going to be an absolutely awesome one. I feel so famous when my comments are read out, says Titanium. And don't you think the final will, with Ireland's home stadium, not Cork Park? Or is that what you were talking about? They are playing at Cork Park, or Croke Park it is called, sorry. But yeah, they're playing there rather than at the Aviva. A lot of Leinster supporters are a bit against the idea, but that is what's going to be happening. The present number 8 versus the number 8 of the future, says Jean. And just saying, if the Sharks win this one, the whole of Ireland will be cursing the Sharks in Dublin. And we have got there, I agree, Hamish. The Sharks are making too many silly mistakes at this level. It's going to cost them here, and good luck to all our players today. Proud to have 2 teams in the semi-final. My heart remains, says Kotti. And it does mean that for the 4th year in a row, we will have a South African side in the final of the URC. There has not been a single time where that has not happened, although this will be the first final not taking place in South Africa. It's finally going to be in another location. This time it will be in Ireland. And we have got the hours of Hamish Beard looking good. Sharks by 15. Says stand there for the predictions. So going with a big win for the underdogs. I've been in both, I've been at the Aviva. It's not a great stadium, says Juan Pierre Bosch. And we have got their Bulls would have won last year if Willie didn't get injured in the playoffs last year. Bulls were rudderless in the final, meaning Willie-less. Says no more dad bod. And the thing is, Willie le Roux, with the form that he's in at the moment, he is going to be a very hard man to stop in this game. But that's where the tactics of the Sharks may come in. I think this is going to be one of the most brutal games of the URC we have seen this year. These two sides are going to go out there. They're going to hit each other hard. They're going to try and force the mistakes. The weather looks pretty nice, about 18 degrees Celsius, so that is a massive bonus. Good for running rugby. But yeah, I think there's going to be some very sore bodies after this contest. And the thing is, whoever wins, it doesn't get much easier because you then have to head on a plane, travel for about 14 hours to get to Dublin, and then from there prepare for the massive final next week. Hamish, would you therefore say South African teams have got slightly worse year after year in the URC? Says, cool. I would not say that. I think that if you look at where the Sharks were last year compared to now, they would certainly feel like they haven't got worse. In fact, to go from about 15th or 14th last season to now be in a position where they have a potential final around the corner, like that is more than improvement that they would have been looking for. And maybe a penalty shootout. That's the thing. People have got a taste for the penalty shootout now. That is something that we don't see too often. The last time was Munster versus Toulouse in a Champions Cup playoff game. But now that people have seen it, it's a fun concept that when done right can be very entertaining. I mean, we saw the drama that it brings, the tension between the players when they're out there. We call it Springboks Trials Prepare for War, says Farid, and what's up with these crowns? It's a YouTube feature. I actually don't know how it works, but it's to do with how many comments you have, gets you XP of some sort, but then I don't think the XP can be spent on anything. So it's a little bit confusing. A bit worried about the Bulls' habit of letting it in easy tries mid-second half. The Sharks' ability to win really ugly. Says Suckabulla. Yeah, we were talking about it on that Leinster versus Glasgow Warriors stream. And the thing is, the Sharks seem to be very good, like you mentioned, in that last kind of 10-minute period of finding a way to win. Whereas the Bulls, historically this season, have been very good at conceding tries in the last 10 minutes. So I do think that if the Bulls want to win this game, they have to start fast. They have to get out of the gates early, score those early tries like we saw from Leinster in their game up against Glasgow, although the thing that they can't do is what Leinster did, and that was let Glasgow then score straight away. Whoever has a good early lead of more than 10 points, I think should just about be able to control this game, but once again, it is so hard to tell and sometimes extremely difficult to split these two teams, as we've seen from some of the past head-to-heads. But in terms of what is to come, ladies and gents, as you can see there, Leinster versus Glasgow, those were the odds for their match, and the favourite the favourite Leinster were able to pull off the victory. For the Bulls, they come in as favourites at their home ground, Loftus Versfeld, and this type of game, it can make or break teams. The Bulls, the benefit that they've got is they've been in many playoff games before when it comes to the URC. This is actually the run that they had to the final last year. And look at that game that they had just a little bit prior. That game took place about just under a year ago, that they were able to win 26 points to 14 over the Sharks. And that was in the Sharks' backyard. This one's now in the Bulls' backyard. And of course, last time that happened, we did see the Sharks get the victory. But they were able to beat Benetton in the quarterfinals. They then beat Leinster at Loftus in the semi-finals. But in the final, just narrowly missing out to the Glasgow Warriors, 21 points to 16. And if I'm not wrong, I think that was another similarity to the whole slowing down as the game progresses. Of course, the altitude will play a factor in this game, but the Sharks have been there before. They've felt the burning in the lungs. So I do think that the early scoreboard pressure is what will really build into this game and set someone up for success. Spot on, Hamish. Score, and defend like crazy, says Asakabola. And the Sharks win by 9 points, says Jean, and Bulls will win 28 points to 24, calling it, says Jamie there. And may the Sharks win, says Rhea. And also, how did Geordie go? Honestly, pretty quiet in the game up against Glasgow. Probably one of his less impactful performances, but I'm sure he will be around the corner playing in that final too. But he didn't have to do a lot because Jamie Osborne was sensational on the outside, as well as, Tommy O'Brien was sensational out on that right wing. Pretty good performance from the back from Jimmy O'Brien too. So Geordie didn't really have to dig in deep. As a Stormer, I'm going to back the Bulls for the second time ever. Let's hope next week to the up, says Juan Pierre Bosch. And point of correction, Hamish, Bulls beat Leinster in Ireland, says Farid. Did they? Why does that have the Bulls as the home side then? In that case, I could be wrong, of course, but yeah, for some reason I had the Bulls listed as the home team. We have got there, thanks, Juan, says Suckabulla, and Key, and be calm, says Regan. Yeah, I think that calmness, but that's the thing, the tension's there between these two sides. Like, you're in the scenario of a South African derby, which is going to guarantee someone heading north. And a correction to you, Farid, I've just looked it up, and that game of the semi-finals between the Bulls and Leinster did take place at Loftus Versfeld. We have got there the Sharks by 5, says Andre, and Sharks way too bad, Sharks supporter. Says Mike, yeah, it's been a frustrating couple months for Sharks supporters, but even with as much frustration as there has been from the way that they have been up and down in their form, they have ended up still winning some of their crucial games. No Eben, no win, says Mike. And do you think I need rescue drops for this match? I mean, it will certainly be a tension-filled game. And awesome to be back. Listen to the King commentary. The wink is on, says Warren. And it is great to have you here. And come on, man, when is the kickoff? This has been the longest day of my life. Felt like a month. It is only 10 minutes away. So we're getting very close to the start of this match. Of course, anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we are going to be live next week for the final as well. But this one is going to be epic. Hopefully, like everything points to this being a fantastic game. But we always have to keep in mind that when two great sides go head-to-head, sometimes they cancel each other out too well, and that's when we get a low-scoring game. Leicester, 16-16 between Leicester and Sale. That is a close game. Sharks going to miss Eben's strength in the scrums, says Sakabula. And Jake White is a vastly better coach than the Plum, says Truth and Justice. Sharks by 12 points, says Warren. And go the Bulls, says Etini. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very close to the kickoff. I want to know who you guys think will score a try in this game. We're talking about exact players. Honestly, Ethan Hooker, the way that that man has been playing has been pretty insane. So I would say he's got a good shot of being able to score a try here. If we're looking at the Bulls, maybe Villy LaRue doesn't score one, but I can guarantee he's at least going to set up one or two, because he's been one of those key players in their backline for the Bulls. David Creel to score, says Mike there. And where can I watch it live? Depending on where you are in the world will affect where you can watch these games. If you've got a VPN, you can set yourself to New Zealand and watch it on TVNZ+. Spoiler, Coco Gauff has won the French Open. I have no idea who that is, but I'm sure some people probably didn't appreciate the spoiler. Kiwi Rog, the Angry Warthog, will score first. Is that... Wait, Angry Warthog. Who is that? For some reason, the first player that came to mind was Akafunda Merva, but I could be wrong. And why is Eben not playing? Bit of an injury, I believe, for Ebenezer again, and he has just been plagued with them throughout this season, sadly. These are the lineups, ladies and gents, for the Bulls. It is Jan Hendrik Wessels, Johan Robela, and Wilco Lowe as the front row. Kobus Visa partnered with with JF Van Heeren there as the number 5. Marcel Kurtzia, Roa Nokia, and Cameron Honeycomb sorting in as the number 8. And Bros Papier, and the return of Johan Goosen, which is going to be absolutely massive for this Bulls side. The composure off the kicking tee that Johannes just didn't quite have last week will be added back to this team now that Goosen has returned. Errol Foster alongside David Creel in the middle of the park with Sebastian de Klerk. Kanan Moody, who does need a big game here. I feel like he's been a little bit up and down in terms of his form, but this is the type of game that he could really find it well. Villy LaRue at number 15. If that man is involved throughout this fixture, I feel like the Bulls are going to have a good chance of being able to get themselves the victory. That he was brilliant in last week's game for the Sharks. They have got Oxnashare, Mongi Umbanambi, and Vincent Koch as the front row. So all 6 starters are Springboks and all know how to pack a punch when it comes to those scrums. Corne Raal alongside Emil van Heeren in the number 5 jersey. James Venter, Vincent Tuchuka, and Sia Khaleesi is there as the number 8. Jaden and Jordan Hendrickse, the brothers in the 19 combo. Andre Esterhuizen alongside Lucanio Arm at 13. Marcazoli Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker, and Apelele Farsi at 15. Now, something that I haven't mentioned yet in terms of head-to-heads is actually that 15 jersey. I would say maybe a month or two ago, people were saying Villy LaRue will not get his 100 caps for the box. But since then, he has ramped his game up. And Apelele Farsi, he was the shining star of the Sharks team when they were struggling last year. This year, when they've had a little bit more form, I feel like there have been a couple other guys who have really looked the part in terms of that backline, whether that is an Ethan Hooker, who has just been absolutely everywhere throughout the last few weeks, or maybe someone like an Andre Esterhuizen when he starts charging forward. So Fussy needs a big game here. This is pretty much the veteran in Leroux versus the rookie in Fussy, who is slowly going away from being a rookie because he's getting some good minutes for the Box, or at least he has been. But this is where he needs to show everyone exactly what he can do up against the old dog and show that he's got a few tricks up his sleeves. A very strong Bulls team. We have got there also, why is Eben not playing? Because he's scared? No, it's just because he's injured. Unfortunately, I can guarantee you right now, if there was any way of Eben playing through an injury when it comes to a South African derby, he definitely would. Honeycomb first try. Says Tonian, are there any Springboks playing? There are very many Springboks playing, probably about 20 throughout these two sides. And going to the bar to watch it, says Outlaw there. And also, Hamish wants the Sharks to win because Plumtree is a New Zealander. That's biased, Hamish. Says, good story, bro. It is just going to show the live full game. Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio will get you taken straight off YouTube. But we will be doing the live play-by-play commentary. Or if you've got a VPN, you can set yourself to New Zealand. And you should be able to watch this through TVNZ+. And hello there, Hamish and everyone. Says Sue, welcome in. No one gets to wink tonight. I wonder if anyone for the Bulls is going to try and provoke a couple of the Sharks. Like, that's the thing. One thing from those, like, kind of penalty shootout kicks that we learnt is that it's very easy to kind of fire up Jaden Hendrickse. So I feel like if you are the Bulls, you know, you've got someone like a Marcel Coetzee. He's been around the block a few times in terms of the international world. He knows what to do to get under people's skins. Like, I feel like they're just going to poke and prod him until he snaps. And then, you know, that will cause the box kicks to go a little bit more wonky. That will cause a bit more pressure in the breakdowns and maybe a bit of indecision. Best fullback in South Africa is a Lion. So I assume that's Q-An Horn that you are talking about. Andrew Brace is the referee. Says a sucker baller there. And we have got there, no betting on my Sharkies to win, but they may surprise me in the last 15 minutes, says Ruggamuffin. It's quite funny, isn't it, that this game's going to have about 65 minutes of rugby action between the two teams, but it's the last 15 minutes that is going to determine who wins, because it's either going to be that the Bulls slow down again and that the Sharks ramp it up, or it's going to be that the Sharks, through so much frustration of handling problems throughout the first 65, then come right for that last 15 and just kind of reach the next level. But it looks like an almost sellout for this match at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. It's like a Springbok Trials. Or Trials, says Mr. Robot. It certainly is. Like, Rassie, I would assume, will be watching this game, maybe from the stadium. If not, I mean, he will certainly have an eye on it. But 17 degrees Celsius, 5 kilometres of wind, perfect rugby conditions for the evening, but 44% humidity hopefully won't lead to too many handling errors for these two sides. We have got there, your stadium is very blue. You're back in the Bulls, says Warren. The stadium is very blue because that is where the game is taking place. So there's no, like, hidden message behind it, other than the fact that this is where the game is happening. I can change the one next to me to a Sharks background if that makes you feel a little bit better. As Hendricks, the new Gregan, says, good story. I mean, Hendricks is certainly one of those guys that when he plays well, he can be outstanding. But I think a lot of people, at least from what we've heard, still find Hendricks a little bit average in terms of, you know, he's a bit of a mixed bag from that number 9 jersey. What's the crowd like? It's pretty much full, which is fantastic to see for Loftus, as we have seen a lot of playoff rugby games actually not full throughout the last little while. And good luck to both sides. Thank you, Hamish, for the commentary. Says Blues Nate. The best 15 in South Africa is Villy. Says Fareed. And now it's the Bulls against the Springboks. Says no more dad bod. Although we can't underestimate how many Springboks that this Bulls side have. They have got Jan Hendrik Vessels, Johan Krobela, Wilco Lowe, Ruan Nokia, Cameron Honeycomb. Also in the back line, they've got Kanan Moody, Villy LaRue. A couple of decent guys off the bench. Could be Springboks too, but now the Sharks to make their way out of the tunnel. This is when the nerves start to set in a little bit. And Shot Boss give the Sharks some background support, says Warren, but Sia Khaleesi leading his Sharks side out. There we go. We'll put the Sharks background there. You can't really see that it's the Sharks home ground, but that's why we're a little bit more impartial. Mind games are important too. Green was a great player. See, it's a cool story, and my nerves are traumatized. Says Sakabulla, are you going to do the Lions versus Argentina game if you can find it? We certainly will be. And what time is kickoff? Probably about 2 minutes' time. We are getting very close to the start of this match. The Sharks are in a bit of a huddle with their forward pack. So Ethan Hook are also getting in there, so I think they are actually going to go with the full squad. Ruan Nokia about to make his way onto the field. I'm nervous, and I'm not really, I'm completely impartial in this game, but you can just tell that it's a big match feel for these two sides. The opportunity to go on to the final to face Leinster in Ireland. It's a big task, but these two sides want to do it. Come on, the Bulls, says Etienne. I just want to see the Bulls win today. Says Yako there. And there's the thing on the bench. Oh, that's the thing on the bench. And name one first choice box Springbok. Says no more dad bod. First choice Springbok. Well, looking through at the two benches, are we talking about for both sides? Because you could probably argue that for both teams, neither have really got a huge amount. Marco Fun starting, to be fair, depending on where they're going to play Khaleesi. If they're going to play Khaleesi at number 8, perhaps Fun starting gets a chance at number 6. Pepsi Butalazy also had some time in that regard. And I think Lorenzo Julius is a future number 13 for the box. But we are just now ready for this match. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, let us know in the comments your prediction of who you think will win this game, as we are now just about ready to go. The Bulls taking on the Sharks at Loftus for a chance in the final. Let's make bully beef out of them. Says Titanium there, and go the Sharks. First try, James Fento or Makazolima Pimpi, says Jean. And there as well. I named one first choice Bulls Springbok, Willie LaRue. At the moment, based off current form, I feel like there's no denying that man. But that's going to be kicked off now by the Sharks, and we are underway, and it's a drop ball from the Bulls, but it bounces backwards for Sebastian de Klerk, who's running this one down the wing, and already we have seen 50 metres made by the Bulls. A nice ball, says Sakabulla, and Sharks Sharks 27 to 24, crossfield kick from the Bulls, and Kanan Moody continuing his knock-on trend from last week has ended up dropping that ball, so there will be the option of either the scrum or the line out. Roa Nokia went through his hands, but it actually benefited the Bulls more as Sebastian de Klerk was ready for the loose one. Charged straight at Jaden Hendrickse to make the tackle on him. What the hell is with the smoke? It was probably fireworks, I would say, that they let off before the game. And 25 points to the 45 to 21 is the prediction from Christopher. Go the Bulls, says Atini there. Now line out throw for Bongi Umbanambi. Inside of his own 22, nicely taken by Emil van Heeren. Across to Ox Nashir. Unable to show live footage due to copyright. The Kiwi Lads commentary only. Says a Blues, Nate. And only 5 players. Don't have test caps, and Visa will probably get his this year. Says Albert. Now going high with that one. Kanan Moody taking the kick well. Bros Papia 40 metres out from the line now for the Bulls. Yeah. Having more territory, more possession. That was a terrible pass from Ambros Papia. Willie LaRue dropping that one, but it was round by his ankles. And in slippery conditions, that is the last pass you want to see from your 9. And Smoke is probably the prize outside the stadium, says Ragamuffin. Yeah, not the nicest pass for him to start off this one. And Sharks 24 to the 20 of the Bulls, says Lali there. And LaRue says Ruth. The pack weights. That is where the Bulls have certainly got the advantage in weight. 61 kgs more than we see for the Sharks side. And Bulls have a massive pack. They certainly do. And Wilco Low at the front of it. Like, that man is an absolute beast. He's going head-to-head with Oxnashare, though. And nope. He took the mark in his own 22 against France. He is first-choice fullback playing for the Stormers. Says no more dad bod. So I feel like you're just going to argue with everything I say, so there's probably no point. But Jaden Hendricks are going off to the left-hand side. Up Lily Farsi going away to Makazoli Mapimpi. That looked like Farsi may have been a little bit ahead of him, but it sits up now. Willie LaRue shuts it down, but I believe there might have been another knock-on from Willie. Yes, it was. We have to there. Read it, please. Says Yako, what are we reading? Like, as in your comment? I don't think you have one, Yako, other than that one. And Billy Butterfingers is back, I see. Yeah, although that one he actually really needed to get something on it. Now 3 minutes. Career appearances for the Bulls. Just the 29 for Villy LaRue, but of course he is a veteran of the game. He's been around for a long time. Wilco Lowe can wrestle a bull. Says Fareed. And the 9 for the Sharks looks like a supervillain. And last week he became one. For a lot of people, that kind of split the rugby world, but Hendricks getting under a lot of people's skins. The question is, can he do the same to the Bulls here? Where can I watch the game? If you are in New Zealand, it's on TV NZ+. And Bulls for the win, says Maverick. And thanks, Truth and Justice, says Digital. That's a massive push there from the Bulls, but the ball comes out the back for Makazole Mapimpi. Bumps out of the tackle of Johan Hussen. Returns at 10 for this matchup. Hendricks goes across to Milvan Huren. Already we're seeing that physicality. You wonder how many of the guys selected in that Springbok squad will still be 100% heading into the Springbok tour. Now back across to the right-hand side, Jordan Hendricks. Tackled low by Marcel Kutzia. Our first scrum going to be Fire Quadzilla versus the Ox, and we did see a little bit of an advantage going the way of the Bulls, although they weren't able to win the penalty from said scrum. Now nice passing from the Sharks, 22 metres out from the line. Now nice skip pass to Apalele Fassi, driven backwards, and a big shot from Johan Robela. Rush defence from Hanekom, shuts down Emil van Heeren, who's already probably had 4 touches in this matchup. And now Jaden Hendricks going for the little kick in behind. Villy LaRue has that ball, decides to try and run it. That is an awful pass from LaRue. It's given the ball straight back to the Sharks, who do have the advantage here. And I'll go back for the scrum. That is now 3 handling errors from Mr. LaRue at just this point in time. I wonder whether or not maybe just a little bit of the early nerves for Villy LaRue here. And Bulls back as the most dominant in the world. Leinster a bit of bribe, a ref to win, says Fareed. But the interesting thing about the Bulls forward back is something that has won the Sharks games later on in their contest recently has been the power of their scrum. But with the Bulls, you know, they're probably going pound for pound, if not maybe the advantage in favour of the Bulls here. So that does, I guess, kind of, it makes it tricky for the Sharks to be able to create that big comeback that they have in some of their other ones. I'm in South Africa trying to watch it on the correct app, DSTV, and I'm not seeing it. I can't find Channel 201. Anyone know? Anyone here know? Hopefully someone will be able to help you out with the channel that it is. Beefsteaks are now on the braai. Hope Sharks win, says Brian. And we are currently 5.5 minutes through this contest. Both sides bring physicality. Big hits have been coming thick and fast. Yako won't take this stuff. And Paul Villy says, Jake, I believe that was supposed to be from Albert. And Villy's hands are on load shedding. Says, very massive push there from the Bulls. That is a statement right there. But what a terrible pass. And Ethan Hooker with the interception. My pick to be able to score here early. And he does just that. 6 minutes in, the Bulls, after a dominant scrum, thought that they could do no wrong, but that pass was poor. And who? Wait a minute, TMO check. It was David Krill who threw the cutout pass, but they are now going upstairs for our first TMO of the day. And probably the first of many. And ladies first says Fareed, and Yay says Ruggamuffin, although they might take it away here. Right. There's no offence at the scrum because it just ended up getting pushed. Nice prediction, Hamish. It might be wrong. This try of Ethan Hooker might get taken away. Okay. So by the sounds of it, the backlines come up early here. So it's going to be offside against the whole Sharks backline, and it will be no try for Ethan Hooker. It's taken away, says Christopher. It certainly is no try. Great interception, first of all. Like, if he was onside, it was perfect. The try is clean, I promise you. Well, you would be promising me incorrectly. as they have taken the try from him due to that backline creeping up while the scrum was still in play. Now, Johan Goosen has been able to put it into touch. That would have been the dodgiest try I've seen in my life, says so. And Willie LaRue would be a great name for a kangaroo, says Pie Man. Can't really argue with that. A nice almost prediction for now, says Lilia B. Now, Johan Robelaar ready to throw this ball in for the Bulls. We are 7 minutes into this contest, still 0-0. Looking like it's going to be a low-scoring close one just for now. Now ready to throw it in. Robelaar stolen and line-out time there by the Sharks with Vincent Achuka. And it is going to be another Bulls line-out, so that is a good way of getting in your opposition's head. Who we going for today? Honestly, both of these sides have potential of winning this game. We did see the Sharks win both games throughout this season. Watching the game through your eyes, and I'm rooting for the Sharks, says Lully. Hookers always get screwed, says Ruggamuffin, and I almost predicted my birthday. How do you almost predict it? Like you've forgotten and then you just went, it must be close enough. And Bros Papier breaking the line now. Wide cut-out pass going to the Bulls. He has got a man with him, Sebastian de Klerk, but he's going to go himself. And this try has now gone to the Bulls. So, the Sharks go from all but scoring to now conceding, and it is Sebastian de Klerk, the number 11, 8 career tries, but there are going to be many more in that man's future. But the line out of the Bulls, the first one was stolen, but the second was not. And then Ambros Papier just cut through a massive gap. And then Sebastian de Klerk able to finish it off. And it might not be a try, though. Wait, I can taste those salty Shark tears now. Says Christopher, although very early, I'd say at the moment the only thing you'd be tasting is the sweat, because these sides have been going at a frantic pace throughout the early stages, although I don't know why you're licking the players. Johan Goosen ready to line up this kick, 39 metres out from the line. And perfect strike of the ball. That is what the Bulls, I know they managed to get themselves the win over Edinburgh last week, but that's what they needed, that consistency off the tee of knowing if you go to it, the man's going to be able to get it. And let's see Watermate says when. Hamish, you ate shark fin soup? I have not, no. And the Sharks have started again, says Lully. Yeah, they've had a mixture of a season, the Sharks. Although they are far from out of this game. They were close to being able to score it. Although that scrum is a concern with how hard the Bulls were pushing. De Klerk was massive for the Pumas and scored many tries, says Outlaw. And yeah, he's a sensational talent. And it's always a shame when he doesn't get a starting spot. Because, you know, he should be week in, week out in that starting side. I have no fear. Hamish Kurt Cobain already told me to score in a dream. I'm confident in a Bulls win. Says Christopher de Wet now down towards the halfway line. Up Lele Farsi. 2-man tackle on him by Sebastian de Klerk as well as Johan Robelaar. Now Hendrickse off to Bongi Manambi. Jaden Hendrickse finds Andre Esterhuizen with the straightening run at Ruan Nokia. It's just Springbok running into Springbok time and time again throughout this one. Now, chasing after this kick was Ethan Hooker, trying to slap it back onto the side of the Sharks, who do have the line-out throw. Hamish, what's your prediction? I'm going either side by less than 7. That's maybe not so much a prediction, but what I'm hoping for anyway. But, yeah, I think that the Bulls, I'm still waiting for that last 10 minutes, because we've seen them slow down. We've seen them concede so many tries throughout that 70 to 80-minute mark. So the Sharks have to stay within a grasp of that. And, you know, if they're within 2 tries going into that last 10, I think they do have a decent shot of coming back into it. But they will have to dig deep. They haven't got a few of their big guys, such as an Eben Etzebeth. But now, big attacking run. Rolling this one back again, it is going to be Jordan Hendricks. Oh, in fact, my apologies. It was Jaden, Ethan Hooker chasing after it, and a good take under the high ball from Sebastian de Klerk. He could have taken the mark, but actually decided to run it instead. And Broad Papier back into the pocket, finds Willie LaRue. Kicks the ball off his left boot. This can't go out on the full, and it is a good kick down towards the Sharks 22. Now up Lele Farsi, running it forward, chips it forward. And chases after it. Willie LaRue, great one-handed take there. Sebastian de Klerk just keeps it almost in the field of play, although the assistant referee does have the flag up. So it looks like it's actually going to be a Bulls line out now. The Sharks did touch it last. The Springbok front row at the Sharks are being manhandled. And isn't it crazy to think, like the start, well, Vincent Koch normally does make his way off the bench, doesn't he, for the Boks, but, you know, you've got the caliber of Oxnashare, Bongiel Manambi and Vincent Koch going backwards in a scrum, but not just slightly backwards, like fully getting pushed off the ball. After the Leinster game, one team needs to seriously put a marker down here. Feel the Bulls are the ones in with the shout, says Truth and Justice. Now, getting forward, did you know Jake White sits alone at the coaching box? He does, but he also sits alongside 5 water bottles. So he's got some company in there. But they all disappear at half-time, so the man must drink them very heavily throughout the first 40. That is going to be the penalty going the way of the Sharks here. And Bulls have a very good bench, says Outlaw. And so far, so good, says Ruth. And the Maul defence from the Sharks. And hi, Hamish, hi, everyone, says Tanya. Welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well on ball out. Ballers are lost with no Eben or Jenkins at lock. And we have got there the locks. Do a lot in the scrum. Eben is a big miss, says Colour. They were just saying there was a celebrity. I think it was a footballer, but the glass made it very hard to be able to see who was on the inside. And I also can't hear the commentary, so I'm not too sure. Do you really think those are bottles of water? You know, vodka looks like water. That is true. Perfect example. No, this is just water. A 1.5 litres of vodka, I think I would be passed out about now. But Jaden Hendricks are going off to the left-hand side after a successful scrum for the Sharks. Lukanyuam moves up to 22 metres from the line. Now back across, Ethan Hooker wants to get that try back that he had disallowed. Jaden Hendricks, a pop pass up to Makazole Mapimpi, who tries to sit down Johan Hussen, but he puts in enough of a shot to get him into touch. And Eben is always injured unless it's the Springboks. Disgraceful. Says Kevin there, and first one Hawks to Shares pushed backwards, if I'm not mistaken. I never really liked the Sharks or Natal, rather the Bulls win. Says Bruce. Looks like maybe Makazole Mapimpi might have a bit of a cut on his eyebrow here. And we have good there. Why is Eben not playing? Due to injury. He is out again. So he's been dealing with injuries all throughout the season. And one of them's, I guess, caught up with him a little bit more than some of the others. And yeah, he's missing here. But I think there's a chance he'll be back for the final if they made it. A 1.5 litres is a good start, says Ragamuffin. And also 1.5 litres will kill you, says Albert. And let's draw on a different level, said Bertie. Yeah, having a good win over Glasgow. Almost let Glasgow back into the game a little bit. But, you know, I think they'll still be pretty happy. Who is doing emojis? Says Yako, and I want to see the game, says Matilda. If you want to watch the game, it is available on DSTV. I don't think Stan Sport have it, but TVNZ do here in New Zealand as a free-to-air option. Evan's kneecaps aching, says Ruth. Now taken by Kobus Visa. The penalty does go the way of the Bulls. I think that was Corneral giving away the penalty. Natal. Or no, Natal. And we have got there, go the bar, and you can watch it, says Outlaw. I'm sure there will be plenty of pubs that are filled completely in South Africa for this contest. The stadium is pretty much full. I think they said a sellout. There's a few seats that were empty up in the top rafters, but I'd say they've still got a good 45,000? How many does Loftus hold? It's a fair few, isn't it? My feet are freezing. Just hold on. There's Craig. And channel on DSTV, please. Apparently 201 is where you can find it. And half-time, 14 points to 9 in favour of the Bulls is Yako's prediction. But now line-out throw for Johan Robillard. Does go into the front to Visa. No contest coming from the Sharks. Kicked high now from Johan Hussen. Caden Moody trying to line it up. And in fact, it's Ruan Nokia who has to go up for it. But he drops the ball. So now the Sharks on the counter-attack. Apalele Fasi off to Lucanio. Moves up to the halfway line. But once again, good defence from the Bulls. And the plan is very clear. Oh, wow. Bit of aggression there from David Creel. The plan for the Bulls any time that the Sharks are near the touchline is to grab them and scrag them into touch. And, I mean, the aggression that David Krill showed there, slamming Apalele Fasi out over the sideline. Show the game, sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio would get us taken straight off YouTube and banned, which would not be ideal. Definitely not with where we are in terms of the season. Super Rugby semi-finals next week. The final of the URC also going to be taking place. Johan Grobelaar throws this one in now. Manages to find the hands of JF van Heeren and a big rolling maul coming from the Bulls. They are around the halfway line. Johan Grobelaar looks to the short side, tackled by Hendrikse, tries to hold him up. He has managed to wrestle his way to the turf. Jan Hendrik Wessels. Back across to the right-hand side again, offloaded quickly. Now, Ambros Papier goes back, high ball for Johan Hussen. Moody waiting for it again. It slipped through the fingertips and this time knocked on by Harold Foster. I think Villy was trying to say that it went backwards, but was knocked on by Foster afterwards. Where are the players now on the field, says Yako. They are currently sitting about 40 metres out from the Sharks line, and the Sharks will have themselves the scrum. And Sharks will have to bring their best game, says Ruth. Yeah, I think that both of these sides were in this stage of a bit of a feeling out process. But, I don't think we're going to be a mile away from seeing one or two more tries. I actually guessed correctly, 5 water bottles on the table for Jake. I just made that number up because he normally has quite a few, but literally 5. And we have good there. If you want to watch the game, then you must donate $100. If you donate, then the live match immediately starts and Hamish is small. That's just a complete lie, Lockin. And I know that a lot of people would be angry if they actually did so. Andre Estes, a big carry forward for him. Now Hendrikse, tackled by Hussen, and it will be the penalty for being offside. Just got a little bit too quick there, Hussen, trying to get up, and Krill should tackle the wink of Jaden's face, says Christopher. And sponsorship bottles, says Rian. They have actually called for the kick at the post here from the Sharks, so this would be their first opportunity for points, I guess you could say, with the exception of that disallowed try that they did have. But yeah, Johan Hussen just never quite behind the hindmost foot. We need to buy Hamish new socks. He's in desperate need, so please donate $100. Says Lockin. I say Ambrose. I think of Amber and Rose then combine. I mean, I say Ambrose like I would if I was playing golf. And like the format of golf. Or the Apple brand. If you donate $50, Hamish will show his tattoo. I do not have one though, do I? I'd have to get one somewhere. So that I can show it off. Now Jordan Hendrikse wants to show off his kicking abilities. Was able to get both of his kicks over in the kickoff last week. And he's missed. And that one. And too soon, bro, go the Bulls, says Stephen Justice. I wonder, will the South African fans travel like Munster and Glasgow did for the final? A few might. I don't know if you'll get massive travelling numbers. I think that a lot more people will probably go to the pubs and whatnot and braai in South Africa for that final. Gertley Ambrose was a great fast bowler for the West Indies. That is true. If you ask really nicely, then Hamish will show us his pants. Once again, just not quite the case, no. Vincent Tachuka now charging forward, trying to bump off JF van Heeren. Sharks currently sitting about 40 metres out from their own line. Jaden Hendrikse with a nice pass away to Andre Estes and pops it up to Makazole Mapimpi. When these two sides have had ball in hand, they've tried to keep it alive and keep those offloads flying. Sia Khaleesi this time is the man with the knock on. And they'll now go back for another scrum. As the stadium looking pretty full in this case. I think they had a few seats down one end that weren't sold, but other than that, it's looking extremely impressive. Whereas the suit tonight, Hamish isn't reserved for international matches. I'll be honest, it's just really cold here, so I just went with the hoodie. But perhaps next week with the semi-finals of Super Rugby and the final with the URC, we might get the kind of shirt and tie out. And get a tattoo, be a sheep, says Bruce. Have you pledged $1,000? Hamish does a tap dance while wears a Shark jersey. Now 20 minutes in. We're already a quarter of the way through this contest. Had a girlfriend who I reported missing. By then, 3 days later, I stopped the missing report. The cop asked me, was she found? Replied, no, I stopped missing her. Oh, well. And those empty seats are the supporters watching from the USA now. Says Ragamuffin. But now I'm Rose Papier. Ready to feed this ball into the scrum. We've already seen some pretty strong pushing from the Bulls. That one holding strong, though, for both sides, going nowhere. Villy LaRue, wow, that was a late shot from Lucanio arm on him. Of course, two veterans going head-to-head here. Marcel Coetzee now. Rose Papier. Back across to the right-hand side. Harold Foster almost through, but currently still that 7-point lead for the Bulls. So another try now to make things very interesting for them. Jan-Hendrik Wessels offload to Johan Goosen. In fact, that time it was Johan Robela. Ruan Nokia 10 metres out from the try line here. The Sharks looking for the steal, and they've managed to do just that, although the Bulls now trying to get the counter-ruck going. Emil van Heeren has ended up with the position. Hendrickse slips over. He won't be winking about that one. And now the Bulls with a counter-attack. Cross kick coming in. It's gone high, and the try scored by Kanan Moody. Mistake comes from Jaden Hendrickse. And I think they might just check the grounding for this one. It seemed like Moody did lose control of it after putting it down, but I think it was a good grounding to start with. And that's at Bulls, says Christopher DeVette. Who you think will win the URC final? I mean, Leinster at home will definitely be a tough side to face. Definitely because these two sides are going to beat each other up big time. But Kane and Moody doing very nicely. And Riggs watching Hamish from Philly. We do appreciate you being here. We've got a lot of time zones covered around the world. Where's the wink now, says Christopher. And also we have got the Plumtree will be sad. That's not nice. Says Cole. And Moody goes, son. Says Regan there too. Now Johan Goosen, he's already sitting with 1 from 1. This one 45 metres out. A little bit of a trickier angle here. And almost a slight slip from Goosen too as he went towards it. Where is the final going to be? It's going to be in Ireland no matter who wins this game. Seeing as Leinster came in as #1 qualifier, they have booked themselves the home final. And now it's just a case of waiting to find out who they will be playing. But currently it does look like it's pretty likely that the Bulls could just about get it. And we have got there, never mind, halftime 21-7 for the Bulls. Says Jaco and Leinster have had a hard time against the Bulls. Says Dennis, that is true. Last year's semi-final, Bulls were able to get themselves to win 25 points to 20 over this Leinster side. And now Ruan Nokia takes it inside of the Bulls 22. Another offload coming from Honeycomb to Ambrose Papier. Once again, it just seems to be no one wants to go to the breakdown. And that is because of the risk of the opposition being able to jackal and get those steals. Croke Park, who's the ref, I think it depends on a little bit in terms of course, it's now an Irish side going through, so they won't have an Irish referee. South African side through, so they won't have a South African one, so they will have someone else. Could even be Piardi. Now Apalele Fasi, tackle around the halfway line, counter-ruck coming from the Bulls, but the ball is there for Jaden Hendrickse, who will shift it off to the left-hand side. Andre Esterhuizen tries to skip past, finds Lucanio Arm, who's in the wide channel, bumps off David Creel, but he hangs on to the leg. Manages to complete the tackle. Vincent Koch, now trying to sneak through his Marcus Olima Pimpy. Now Hendrickse going off to the right corner. Rao with the big bump off of Marcel Coetzee. Hendrickse milks the penalty for Coetzee being offside. That man knows how to make himself unpopular, doesn't he? And now, looking at the kicking option, we'll go to Lucanio Arm. What's the score currently? 12-0 after 25 minutes. Corne Rao tries the offload. It is loose. And wow, that's a good boot from Johan Robela. Would have been a 50-22 had there not been the penalty advantage. Imagine a rugby player with Bucky's face and Eben's eyes blowing a kiss. Says Ruggamuffin. Who got the red? No one got the red. They're both still out there on the field with 15 on 15. On what website can you watch the match? TVNZ Plus is a great option if you are in New Zealand or if you have a VPN to set yourself to New Zealand. Looks like Hendrickse may have taken a bit of a knock here. But I think he should be all right to be able to continue. Of course, still no Grant Williams for the Sharks side, which has been a massive hit to them. And okay, says Allen, and Tachuka and Khaleesi are quiet now. Says Farid, looks like Jordan Hendricks are going to be lining up the three-point attempt here. There's the plan for the Sharks, just to earn some form of points. Sharks are not going for the corners, maybe tired from last week. It was just a joke, says Yako. Now, Hendricks has got that kick over, 12 points to 3. And that big white block on the screen with the red numbers as a score can be confusing, I know, says Christopher. And this is a big game, so I won't distract Hamish with nonsense stories, says Cool Story. Now Andre Estes on running it back for the Sharks. They are 30 metres out from their line. Hendrickse popping it up to Oxnashare. What the hits that are coming in here, like whoever wins this game, I can say it right now, they won't be at 100% for their game next week up against Leinster. Would you ever become a ref? I used to ref at school, but no. Like, seeing the way that referees, like, no matter what, whether you have a good game or not, someone hates you. Like, I feel like a little bit the same as streaming, to be honest. Beautiful pass. A little chip in behind. In fact, now, Lucanio arm, he will kick it downfield for the Sharks. Does get it into touch around that halfway line. 13 minutes left. He's kicking well. Says Robert Wood and come on the Bulls all day, every day. Says Yako. Yeah, Johan Hussein, he did well to chase after that kick, and then just the next pass went into the hands of Lucanio arm. This is nice, but it is all about the last 15 minutes. Will the Bulls stand strong there? Yeah, it is. And like we said, even before the kickoff, everything that happens up to 65 minutes, like, yeah, it matters, of course, because they want to get into the lead, but the Bulls have been known for slowing in that last 15 minutes, and their discipline starts to slip, and they get close to yellow cards. The Sharks normally do get better as a match does progress, definitely in those last moments when they need to get the win, but once again, you just never know what's going to happen. Jake White's only got 3 water bottles. What does he actually do with them? Does he throw them? Like, how do you go from 5 water bottles maybe 10 minutes ago to only having 3? That's a big knock on from Bongi Umbanambi. Thank you very much, Alan, for your generosity. And now Kana Moody chasing after this one. Nice step from Makazole Mapimpi. Gets round 2 and now finds a lot of space to be able to run into. Tries the pass on the left-hand side. Finds Apalele Fasi, who hits his head hard on the ground and loses control of possession. Double blow of the whistle and a yellow card for the Bulls now. And that is not what they were after. It is Harold Foster. And we've got there, what's Zim dollars? I think it is ZAR is South African Rand, I believe. And imagine donating and making a spelling mistake, says Locken. And also we've got their commentary top class as usual, thank you, says Kevin. But now Makazole Mabimbi, that was a very dangerous run that man just made. Apalele Fasi, he tackled hard, and yeah, there's a little bit of illegal stuff going on in that breakdown from Harold Foster, trying to rip that ball out of his hands. I'm just saying, didn't release Apalele Fasi. That is why the ball was dislodged. Now Jordan Hendrickse. Chance here to be able to add the extra points. And Sharks need to capitalise on this yellow card. What was the yellow for? It was for playing the ball on the ground after a very good attacking position for the Sharks. But Hendrickse misses away to the side. It's not what the Sharks would have wanted. I also play rugby, says Yako. What you said about refereeing is facts no matter what game you have. People hate you. My hubby has been a ref for almost 10 years, says Maverick. And well done, Yako. It must feel good, says Stan. And Zimbabwe dollars is now backed by the price of gold. And great commentary, says Dunny. Thank you very much. We are going to be back, of course, for the final as well as the Super Rugby playoffs, the Springbok season. when it comes around, we will also be covering all their games on the channel too. Massive, monumental hit there from the Bulls. And defensively, they have to stay strong. They've got one less man on the field for the next 8.5 minutes. Jordan Hendrickse kicks it high. Oh, knock on from Ethan Hooker as he went up for the high ball. Oxnasham misses the tackle on Sebastian de Klerk. It was just so hard to be able to cut off. Now, Ambros Papia goes back to Villy LaRue, who was waiting for this one in the pocket. Does go with the up and under. Well taken by Ethan Hooker again. I didn't play rugby, but the season was my last open age of 42. I will play the odd veterans game. Kicked him behind, looking for the 50-22 here. The Bulls, once again, have managed to clean this one up 5 metres out from the line. Sebastian de Klerk keeps it low, but it sits up for the Sharks, who have got a lot of momentum moving forward now, and a man advantage. Who's up a little fussy pointing at? While he was running forward, he was trying to tell either someone that they were offside. Oh, cross kick from Lucanio Arm. Goes over the head of Hooker. It means now the Bulls will have themselves the line out. What is your opinion on Tachuka? I think he's a phenomenal player. He can every once in a while become a little bit quiet, but I feel like that's the case with most guys in that loose forward trio, how every once in a while, like, the ball just doesn't come to you. And we have got there, it's like Rollerball, the 70s movies, and de Klerk wants to show Rassie he was wrong. So here's Christopher. It's like Umbenumbi, just getting a little bit of ice on his neck here. Looks like he's having a good chat here with the medics too. Cobus Visa down with an injury as well. And all the knocks from the Sharks, why no scrums? So here's Ronnie. A lot of the times the advantage has been over. Like, they've had enough of a play where the Bulls, normally off the knock-on of the Sharks, have been able to get a counter-attack going. I think Jaden is going to have a tough day at work. We taught lessons from a Bok on how to conduct himself in the green jersey, says Robert. Yeah, I think that Cobus Visa heard himself making the tackle and Bongi Umbanambi heard himself taking the tackle. So, a little bit of an unfortunate one. And the Sharks trying to avoid scrums at all costs, says Sakabola. And yes, so far we have seen the Bulls get that little bit more of an advantage, although the scrums, since that very first big push, like, you know, it wasn't too bad at all. We have got there, Hamish, your commentary is ball by ball, absent of boring adverts of things we don't care about, says Fareed. So that's a compliment, isn't it? I think. So thank you for Jaden Hendrickse stolen there for the line out. Now Jordan goes across to Andre Esterhazy. Lucanio Arm forward pass to Makazole Mapimpi. And if their goal was to avoid the scrums, they've now made a mistake because they are going to have to scrummage. I don't feel like shaving. This has been a nice distraction. Says cool story. And also we have got there, Yako was at the cricket match 102 without loss. Loftus Faithful are definitely reminding Jaden about how to behave. Luke Watson and Bola Conradi, I should say, sorry, never had a food time at Loftus. Halftime, Alan says Regan. Currently, we are getting very close to that halftime siren. Only 8 minutes away. This first half has absolutely flown by. I feel like that is just the fast-paced nature. Even with the scrums, it's been absolutely flying. Playing a little bit of I would walk 5,000 or 500 miles. It's 5,000, isn't it? It's a lot of miles. He must really like the girl. But, ready to go for the scrum here for Ambros Papier. It's going to be well controlled here for the Bulls, although it is shuffling sideways, and they have got themselves now the penalty advantage. Kane and Moody on the short side. Hendrickse has managed to make the low tackle. And the worst team on earth is the final 15, or in the final 15 is the Bulls. Want to see them now the last 15 McCaw style. And I listened to Hamish's commentary instead of Supersport commentary, much more entertaining. There's Ruggamuffin. Thank you very much. Already the penalty advantage in favour of the Bulls, so they will go back 500. So it's 500 miles. Yeah. I couldn't remember it, and the only way to remember it, of course, is to sing it, but I can't sing. And I also got to be Scottish. And the vet point taken, says Fareed, and 100% the Sharks to score before halftime. Even 2 would be great. And by the way, Mr. Hamish, the World Test Championship starts at 10 p.m. on Wednesday. We already at that. I felt like that was miles away, but yeah, that's going to be another one that, of course, we would like to cover. We'll see how we go. What's left in the yellow card? Still another 4.5 minutes remaining of the Bulls yellow card, although at this point in time, they are going to be doing the line out, 22 meters out. Did you sing it in your head? I tried to slightly say it quietly, but then I realized I have a microphone, so you guys would be able to hear. Just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles. Yes, no, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Because he walks 500 and then he walks it again. You know I'm talking about the cricket, don't you? I certainly do. Australia versus South Africa. Now rolling maul here. Oh, another advantage going the way of the Bulls. Got a free chance of being able to get another try here for a side that have already got 2 of them in this match. I know Hamish would not walk 500 miles on the beach to find his true love. Yeah, nah, not a fan of walking on the beach. If I had shoes on, I don't mind it. But for some reason, I just don't like sand. Kovas Visa, good shot on him. And that will be another penalty going the way of the Bulls. I want 500 miles, then I got Piles. So here's Bruce, and 500 in South Africa. I remember they had the guns tonight, 500 and the legendary Sean Thompson. Avisa not looking comfy. Yeah, he looks like he's got still that injury that he is dealing with. I would have walked 799 miles for a braai. So here's Truth and Justice. Now ready to line up this kick for the 3. I guess it's a smart move. You have a man disadvantage and you want to just kind of wear down that clock a little bit more. You're in control. Oh, it's not a terrible choice here for the Bulls. But you just wonder whether or not when the Bulls are back to 15, will they try and up the tempo a little bit more throughout the second half? We've talked about their last 20 many times. It does seem to be when the Bulls struggle. You don't like sand, let me guess. It's because it's coarse and it gets everywhere. So here's Marco. I think it's also just from getting sand in my eye. I was like, nah, this stuff's not really nice. That one's going to go over. 15 points to 3 now. The Proclaimers are going to be 500 miles, by the way. Yep, that is indeed the song. I'll join you, Justice. Says Regan and rugby players should never surf. Hence. Says Truth and Justice. But now, just the 2 minutes remaining of the Harold Foster yellow card. Sorry, it was a lame Star Wars quote, says Marco. And now taken by the Sharks, managing to retain their own kickoff. They've got 2 minutes to score with a man advantage. They need to find a way through, and they need to find it soon if they want a way back into this semi-final. Vincent Tichuca tackled well by Johan Robela, who tried to strip him of the ball. Oxnishier driven backwards. You don't see that too often, but Cameron Honeycomb decided he was up for the challenge. Now Sia Khaleesi, another step. Honeycomb, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Double blow of the whistle. It was an accident from Honeycomb. He picks him up, but I think this is going to be at least a yellow, if not red card. I think Khaleesi's going over. He knows what this means. Is it just a penalty? No, it is just a yellow card. Tell you what, do you know why Khaleesi went over to the ref and said, don't worry about that one? It's because if Honeycomb got a red, he was going to be missing from the Springboks. And Khaleesi did not want that, but just power from Honeycomb. Picks him up, drops him on his head. So, yeah, it is definitely at least a yellow. We've seen reds given for less, but Khaleesi was actually the one who went over to the referee and said, no, don't do that. It's okay. I'm fine. He's fine. We're all good. Just give him a yellow. That's it. Oh. Okay, I've seen it on the big screen. I don't need your advice, says Andrew Brace to Billy LaRue. I'm not sure what advice Billy LaRue was trying to give him. Okay, the referee there just said, Sia, the reason that it's only a yellow is because your player pushed in as well. So that was the mitigating factor. Sia Khaleesi, he said, no problem whatsoever. He does not want to lose Honeycomb for those internationals in July. And I think that if Rassie was watching, he too wouldn't want Honeycomb to disappear. So pretty much it was like a suplex type of situation. Honeycomb picked up Khaleesi. It was all a little bit accidental. I think he forgot how strong he was, Honeycomb. And he kind of picked him up, dumped him on his head, got a yellow card. So now the Bulls are actually playing with only 13 men on the field. And also, that's why Khaleesi is Springbok captain, says Christopher. And is it being reviewed? It is not. It is staying as a yellow card, which I believe was the request of Sia Khaleesi. But now, it's going to be the short ball in the line out. And the Bulls forward, yes, says Colin. And that's our bot captain, says Lilia B, like Willie as a player. We got to stop rubbing his nose in every situation, says Roger. And now the Sharks. Rolling this ball back, it will be Orks Nashir. 2 meters short of the line. Umbanambi just can't quite outstretch his hands. Now Jaden Hendrickson goes to Corne Ral. Driven sideways, but the Sharks are on the verge. The penalty, though, goes the way of the Bulls. Am I clever for understanding how clever you are, Hamish? Says, your story, can a captain do that? Says Albert. Well, I think that his nonchalant approach to it definitely did make it a lot easier for the referee to just give it as a yellow. Like Khaleesi said, I'm fine. Nothing happened. I wasn't injured in the process. Whereas if it wasn't Honeycomb, let's say that maybe it was someone from another side outside of a South African team, maybe Khaleesi would have said, look, that was pretty dangerous. That could have been pretty bad. But yeah, in that case, he was like, no, I'm fine. Just let's move on. Give him a yellow if you have to, but don't give him a red because we want him in July. How late does the game end? The game will be ending at around, I'd say 55 minutes time, around that kind of 8 p.m. mark. Now line out throw here for the Bulls. And it is Johan Robillard with only 13 men on the field. Can the siding officer do him anyway? I think he actually can, because we saw that for Abraham Pole in Super Rugby. He ended up making a tackle that got him a yellow card, which then got upgraded to a 3-week suspension afterwards. But the penalty this time going the way of the Sharks. Bongi Umbanambi in the breakdown. Marcel Coetzee, March 10 from talking back to the referee. Might even get 10 more if he's not careful. He's still trying to have a go at the ref. Okay, Marcel Coetzee, because he is the new captain here, he's just pretty much said to the referee, I'm very sorry, I shouldn't have said what I said. And Andrew Brace just telling him no need for that kind of language. And either that by Khaleesi or milking it, either one influences the ref somewhat. And imagine international calls now being a yellow, so the red doesn't exclude Bok duties, says Warren. And Honeycomb got to give Sia half his pay packet, says Bruce. Now, will be the line-out throw here for Bongi Umbanambi as we do see Harold Foster return to the field. We are only 25 seconds away from the halftime break. The Sharks are starting to roll here again. The Bulls drag it down. The ref was very close to considering a penalty try there, but for now, I think we're going to see another Bulls player going to the bin. This makes me want to apologise to someone. Says good story, bro. And another penalty. Another double blow of the whistle. Is this a third guy? He's going into the pocket again. The Bulls are back down to 13 men. They keep on doing cynical infringements. It's Marcel Coetzee this time. Who's the captain now? They're dropping like flies out there, the Bulls. But they just keep on making... The thing is, they're not just penalties. They're cynical things that the Bulls are doing. Now Coetzee and Honeycomb get to sit next to each other. Okay. Andrew Brace has just said that Johan Husson, who is now the stand-in captain, he's been told pretty much if they don't sort this out, Andrew Brace said he's more than happy to send more people to the bin. And what are the Blues doing? The Bulls doing? Jake White is going to hand out a massive spanking at halftime, says Marco. Bulls shopping for yellows might be a special. Yeah, at the moment it's 3 that we have seen all throughout a very short window of time. These players are making the ref liquor angry, and then they want to be mad at him, says Maverick. Yeah, that probably didn't help in terms of Marcel Kurtzia swearing at the ref and then being the guy who gave away the penalty. The ref probably went, perfect. See you later. Abongio Manambi throwing the ball in. The Sharks have to score. They're up against 13 men. That one's gone down, this time legally. 5 metres out from the try line. The Sharks just really lacking that go forward that they're after this close to the try line. And why is Plumtree not winning? I mean, they should at least be able to score once in this half, the Sharks, with the amount of times that they have had chances. That's going to be held up. The Bulls have hung on in incredible fashion. And just like that, it's halftime, 13-15 for the first stages of the second half. But what an intense and, I guess, eventful first 40 minutes between these two teams. The cynical things will equate to the 15-point win to the Sharks. Says Stan, and Bulls need 2 quick-fire tries. And there from, where was that one? That one disappeared. There it is, from Christopher Davet. But halftime in this fixture, 15 points to 3. Eventful probably doesn't even summarise that half of rugby. It was all-out action. Few scrums in there, which seemed like the Bulls had a bit of the advantage. These yellow cards are unbelievably bad. Says LFG. But yeah, there's a couple of those yellows that you look at and you just go, there was no need for that. Like Harold Foster trying to slap that ball back on the ground while the Sharks were going for the attack. It was always going to be at least a penalty, and if you got away with it, penalty at best. So that one was a deserved yellow card. Then the one from Honeycomb, flipping Khaleesi over on his head. There's nowhere that wouldn't be a yellow card. And then Marcel Kurtzia collapsing them all, couple metres out from the try line. They're all really bad decisions from this Bulls side, who in total for their penalty count have only given away 7 penalties. But 3 of those have been yellow cards. And that second yellow was nonsense. Sharks player lifted Khaleesi as well. Says Sakabula. Yeah, although I think that it was well done from Khaleesi to go to the ref and say, yes, I'm okay, so, it shouldn't be anything too severe. And Red's coming second half. Says Hans and make it fair and give the Bulls 1 more card. Says Truth and Justice. And the Sharks just need to get used to the field. Says Aurora. And Red's coming second half. Says Hans there as well. But looking at the possession stats, 61% of the possession has gone the way of the Sharks. 5 clean breaks to the 4 in favour of the home side, the Bulls. More defenders beaten for the Sharks, 11 to the 9. 2 yellows equals 1 red, says James. And bad discipline by the Bulls. Both these teams going to get a hiding from Leinster. The Bulls' discipline is a problem. The bigger problem is that the Sharks couldn't score against it, says Paul. And yeah, territory also in the Sharks' favour. Tackle success for the Sharks down at 69%. The reserve playing with my emotions, says Sakabola. 75% tackles made for the Bulls as well. And red cards and derbies are rare, says Albert. And yes, they are good, says Philip. But yeah, eventful first half. Best way of describing it. That just had so much happen in a short period of time. And I mean, that last 10 minutes of the half was absolutely hectic. We've got to remember, we also saw a couple missed kicks. I believe one for Hussein, and then also that missed kick from Jordan Hendrickse when they were trying to take the extra 3, the Sharks. You wonder whether or not now the tactics might have to change. They need to score tries. And they're a side that have actually managed to score quite a few throughout their season, but something about this defence at the moment just isn't really letting them through. What we will quickly do, though, is we will quickly see some of the interesting stats between these two sides and see if they match what we have seen in this matchup. So in terms of the Sharks, Makazole Mapimpi has made the most meters throughout the quarterfinal with 146. He made quite a few throughout that first half as well, but I think the tricky part is that next big pass, the go-forward move for the Sharks. Ethan Hooker getting that early interception, but it was offside. So it disallowed, and that was as close as they have been to being able to score. Now it's just showing there Andre Estaisen has made dominant tackles, 46 in total for the season, and he's also had some great post-contact meters. Those type of post-contact numbers is what you need in this kind of game where it is so close. And the Bulls scrum success rate just about 95%, being third in the comp, and they're showing it. They were able to get themselves those couple big penalty advantages earlier on. And we have got their Sharks still on 3 points as a big fail. Says Jimbo. And I'm being honest, I like both teams, but the Sharks is my favourite, and they are making me cry. Says Aurora, and the Bulls is Leinster's bogey teams. Bulls have won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1 against Leinster, home and away, beaten Leinster. Says Willem. So in that case, I think that Leinster will definitely want the Sharks to pull off the win here. Although I think that Leinster will just be happy to be through to the final. Let's be honest, they haven't been there before in the URC, so to be able to do it now could be coming at the perfect time. But nonetheless, do let me know, of course, your end score predictions for this matchup. An interesting first half. Quite a few errors still coming, but it does look very slippery underfoot and also slippery ball situation as well. And come on, the Bulls wake up, focus, winning is blue, sky is blue, ball is blue. Be the first URC lifted. Says Yako there, and player of the first half. I do think that Sebastian Clerk really stepped up for the Bulls throughout that first 40 minutes. The front row, I mean, you have to give them credit for the way that they were able to push. And then I would also say, I think Roa Nokia, little bit of an underrated guy for that first half. He's been busy and a lot of breakdowns, put in some good hits. So, yeah, I'd probably give him a bit of acknowledgement as well. In terms of the Sharks side, I think that, you know, Mapimpi's been solid. He's had some decent runs throughout it. Look, Kanyuam has been busy too. Ethan Hooker, he's been trying to get in the game and I think just needs that one big break to be able to fully get his confidence. And 27 points to 15, the Bulls at full time. Says Tony and Sharks is the comeback king when it comes to the second half, says Brian RIP. And that's what makes this one so difficult to judge, because we know from recent games that the last 10 to 15 minutes, the Sharks find their next gear, and the last 10 to 15 minutes seems to be when the Bulls take their foot off the brake, take their foot off the accelerator. So, yes, the next 25 minutes of this game, they will be important, but, and I do say but, because that last 15, that last 10, that last even 5 will be the difference. I don't think the Sharks will score anymore, says Regan. And yeah, that's the thing though, 2-man advantage going into the second half. That has to count for something, and it's 2 men off the field for the good probably 8-9 minutes of the second half period. So I'd like to think that that would be enough time to really get something going. Just got home from work, this looks ominous. Says Brent, yeah, it's been, it's been very eventful. We've seen 3 yellow cards for the Bulls. They are playing with 13 men at the start of the second half. The Sharks have tried everything they can to score, but just haven't been able to do so. All part of Plum's plan. Says cool story of this Rivers making, or really messing up such a nice flow of rugby. Springbok team versus Springbok team basically. Doesn't get better than this, says Quinton. But yeah, the Bulls are going to have to be very careful in the second half, because Andrew Brace said to the fill-in captain Johan Goosen, he's not afraid to reach the pocket again if they keep on cynically infringing. That's to remind you of a match between these two teams, or these two played, but in reverse, says Lilia Bear. I mean, the last time that they did face off, I believe we've got all of the scores here. There we go. 29 points to 19 was the score between the Sharks and the Bulls the last time that they went head-to-head. 20 points to 17, the score the time prior. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly see what the score was at halftime in that Bulls versus Sharks game, because I have a little bit of a feeling, if I'm not wrong, that it might have been a little bit similar to this one. The Bulls versus the Sharks. It was on the 16th of February that it did take place. So we'll go here. We will hopefully be able to find it. 16th of Feb. It doesn't have the game here for some reason, which is very confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Sharks, and of course we are going to find when they ended up. There we go, 29 points to 19. Found it. So halftime score was actually 7 points to 10 in favour of the Sharks. My apologies. So it was actually the other way around. They were leading at halftime. Wow. I didn't realise this until now, but last game between these two sides, we saw 3 yellow cards for the Sharks. So a reverse of what we have seen here. Also a yellow card for Willie LaRue in the 31st minute. Jan-Hendrik Wessels actually scored in the 3rd minute of the game the last time these two sides faced off. But yeah, second half between the times of 55 minutes and 71. So that 16-minute period, the Sharks managed to score themselves 3 tries. And then the late try from Johan Krobler in the second half. So, anything can happen, I think is the best way of describing the second half. How the yellow cards, or how the yellow cards have turned and yipped that game, says Lilia B. And also the players of the Sharks that don't want to travel to be tied for the Springboks. Says Regan, and Sharks are completely lost with such an advantage and they can't get access to the line. At this rate, Bulls are the better chance of beating Leinster. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. And Leinster, I think the biggest thing for them is they'll be looking at this game and going, wow, these two sides are really beating each other up. And that will heavily benefit them heading into their next match because, you know, you've already got the factor of travelling to the north to be able to play at Croke Park. But alongside that, you know, there's going to be a few bruises out there. There's going to be some injuries. It looks like Cobus Vesa, if the Bulls aren't or are the side that go through, looks like he might be a little bit in doubt. And luckily, Bulls' line defence looks good. Yeah, like the Bulls defensively. But then the thing is, numerically, 75% of tackles made by the Bulls, which is still a little bit on the low side. Sharks, though, much lower, 69% in terms of their tackle completion. What a man, hope he is okay. So you see the Facia, yep, he was 100% fine. Was making sure that the referee also knew that. And Sharks can't win with 16 men against 13. Says Francois there. And Bulls going down this half, says Allen in there too. But the two sides have made their way onto the field, which does mean the second half of this fixture is just about to get underway. See whether or not there is a comeback on the cards for the Sharks or whether the Bulls will be too strong at Loftus and get themselves the big win. South African players don't get injured. They are temporarily inconvenienced, says Ragamuffin. And come on the Sharks, says Aurora. They are just talking about that penalty shootout for the Sharks. Did that take all of the energy out of the gas tank? It could have. I mean, it was a very fatiguing game. 100 minutes of rugby to then have to go out there, try and win it in that extra time penalty situation. Imagine there was a URC match that was 119-7, says Yako. I mean, we've seen a couple high-scoring games along the way. None quite as high as that one, though. Now, Jaden Hendrickse, first act of the second half for him is a box kick and nicely taken by Ethan Hooker, tackled by Willie LaRue. Now, the Bulls have to make sure they do not infringe, or else they'll find themselves in the bin again. Good kick downfield coming from the Sharks. Ball bounces steeply for Johan Goossens, who's only 5 metres out from his own line. He's going to try and run this one back. Gets to the 22. And they have managed to take him outside of it, which does mean this kick cannot go into touch on the full. And Bros Papier. It's back across to Cobus Vesa. Now, rolling this one back for the kick. Croke Park will be an intimidating venue steeped in history. We're to see the live stream on YouTube. Sadly, there aren't many options on YouTube for free. In fact, there will be none. But do recommend checking out TVNZ. Oh, that was close to a foot on the line for Apalele Fasi, but he has stayed in the field of play. And now Jordan Hendrickse will go for the high kick of his own, taken by Goossen. Offloads it up to Vesa. And the penalty being won by the Sharks in the breakdown. That is a good start. I believe that was actually the number 21 in this case. Wait, that didn't look right. Was that Fezambata? No. Who is that man, and why do I recognise him but can't think of who he is? He's a replacement loose forward, I believe. I can't think of his name, but I think it might actually be Sia Khaleesi who is off. I see Vincent Tachuka is there. Just trying to look around to see whether or not James Fenter is still out on the park as well. Right, so Vincent Tachuka's there. Emil van Heeren is. Pepsi, it is not Pepsi Buthelezi though. Oh, it's Emmanuel Tachuka. Who is out there. That's why I recognise the fella. It's because his brother's already been playing. But yes, so Khaleesi's still out there. It was James Fenter who's been taken off the field with an injury. And now attack and run from Jordan Hendrickse. Cross there. Oh no, James Fenter's still there. Who is Emmanuel Tachuka on for? Maybe that's due to the yellow. No, they've got all their players on the field. For Emil van Heeren was still out there. Maybe Corne Ral? It would make sense actually if it was Corne Ral. We'll just assume that it is anyway. I'll follow you for about a year as well as other channels. Yours are the most engaging channel and subscribers following during the live games. Says Paul, and I try my absolute best to be able to read out all of the comments, and I feel like you guys have gone through the effort of commenting them, so I should try my best to get through them. That was a really good driving tackle there from Sebastian de Klerk. But yeah, it's greatly appreciated you saying that and also sticking around on the channel for so long. Like the way you offer your take on the game, Amy, says Alice. Thank you very much. And sometimes I tie my Sharks towel around my neck and pretend I'm Superman. Well, there you go. Well, they will need a Superman in this matchup here, the Sharks, as they have just been, like, I don't know if it's flat or whether it's just something that hasn't been working for them all. Big shot on Andre Easthuizen by Harold Foster, almost tackled the shirt off his back. Now Vincent Koch, 25 metres out from the line. Hendrickse looking both ways, but will go off to the left to find Emmanuel Tachuka. Hendrickse back across to Emil van Heeren. I love your commentary, says SVG. Thank you very much. And what's the most yellow cards at a time you've seen in a game? I think 3. I don't think I've seen anyone go down to less than 12 players on the park. I've seen sides with 12 though, and it certainly makes for an interesting one. The Bulls currently playing with 13, but you wouldn't think it, as the Sharks aren't really making too many meters. Oxnish here now though, gets a pass on the outside to Umanambi Makazole Mapimpi, pins the ears back, gets in the corner, and that is try number 1 for the Sharks in the semi-final. And much needed for the Sharks side. They have been waiting for the chance to be able to score, and Makazole Mapimpi, just like he always does, manages to get the try. Just the pace shown. I mean, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, to his credit, was going to be the first man trying to chase him down. Yeah, puts it down there, Makazole Mapimpi. I love your commentary, exciting. Cheers, Maria, thank you very much. And we are going to be back for the final as well, taking place next week. The Super Rugby semis also coming on the channel. The other matches that are taking place for the international side of rugby, Premiership Rugby final, might also come up on the channel. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Oh, slip there from Jordan Hendrickse, and he's missed it away to the side. Unfortunately for him, that slip has cost the Sharks 2 points. 15 points to 8, though. And I put little horns. Oh, no. I won't read that one, Truth and Justice. And come on, the Bulls there, sucker bull, and they are still down 2 men, playing with 13 for the next probably 2 or 3 minutes at least. So that is where the Sharks, even though they have done it once, they need to do it again. Right, Cameron Honeycomb actually back out there, so that will be now down to 14 on 15. And here we go, boys, go Sharks. There's Stan. Your thoughts on the new Super Rugby, the new rugby game. So Rugby 25, it's a bit broken. They've got all the licensing though, so they should hopefully, with a few more fixes, get to where they need to be. But yeah, still a little bit broken in terms of the gameplay. And so Claire Hamish says, Regan, both Hendrickson brothers are not exactly putting their hand up for a box start. Says Christopher, yeah, bit of a struggle out there at the moment in terms of just trying to get that rhythm going, giving it horns. Says Lee and Rugby 08 are still goated. Says Marco, and thanks, bro. Says Nico. And there as well, but it's going to be thrown in, nicely taken by the Bulls. Going away to the right-hand side before Johan Hussen decides to go for the box kick. Nicely taken by Ethan Hooker around the halfway line. Hendrickson cross to Apalele Fasi. Tries to chip him behind, but it goes straight into the hands of Ruan Nokia. Now Foster looking for the 50-22 of his own. Makazole Mapimpi was back there to be able to cover Andre Esterhuizen. That man's not going to kick it. He will try and run, but he runs straight into Cameron Honeycomb. Sharks on attack, second half comeback. Says Craig. And just came here a few minutes ago. What was the 2 yellow cards for? So the first one for Honeycomb was for a dangerous tackle on Sia Khaleesi. Ended up accidentally flipping him up, dropping him on his neck. And then the second one was for a drag down rolling maul from Marcel Kutsia. Oh, another knock on. This time coming from the ball. So Vincent Tachuka. Let's try and hit it up there a little bit further before he is tackled by JF Van Heeren. Sia Khaleesi getting into the breakdown. Oh, that's bad. I think Khaleesi may have just damaged. Yeah, no, that's not good. Cameron Honeycomb might have just done his knee, and Khaleesi is very apologetic. Up there, the score, please. This is the score. It's currently 15 points to 8, but Honeycomb, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to continue in this game. At least I think it is Honeycomb. But yeah, it does not look good. Villy LaRue now in possession. His first word was Rugby 2001 EA Sports. Says, cool story, bro. And yeah, they are now going to have the knock on from the Bulls, but they will go back to check on Tichuka. Or sorry, not Tichuka, on Cameron Honeycomb. And saved him from a weird. Now what's happened? Now he might have just ruined his leg, unfortunately. And he is in a lot of pain. He's got the green whistle. Honeycomb's probably out for the season. It's the clean out from Khaleesi. And he just hyperextends that leg. Oh, no, that's probably some sort of knee damage for Cameron Honeycomb. He is in huge pain, already sucking on the green whistle. So he's not going to be able to continue in this game. That's why Khaleesi wanted him back on the field. I'm sure that's not the case. It was an unfortunate accident there, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see him back for this season. Just looks like a really bad one. That's devastating, says Marco. And also poor Honeycomb, says Roof. Yeah, a bit of a big moment in this game as well in terms of, you know, we've seen some pretty decent work from Honeycomb. We keep him prayer, says Regan. And that knee has gone out for the season, says Sakabula there. I guess that's one bonus for Rassi going with such a big squad is there will be injuries throughout the next couple of weeks. Even Royce got what he wanted, says Christopher Vet. I think he would have preferred the red. Hope it's not too serious, says Lilia B. They are just showing Kane and Moody scoring that try earlier on. I believe they are still taking Cameron Honeycomb off the field. I won't be giving him half his pay packet now, says Bruce. The look on the fans' faces says it isn't good, says Doc Martin. An awful game, bad stuff, and now injuries. Shame, says Ruth. Yeah, Marco van Staden, he has made his way onto the field. That is to replace Cameron Honeycomb, who's getting stretched off. He is high as a kite on that green whistle now, though. But yeah, still doesn't look flash for Cameron Honeycomb. But yeah, the hyperextension of the knee and the clean out. But yeah, that looks like even the green whistle isn't numbing that pain of his knee. And that is normally a sign that is something that is pretty serious. South African teams are very weak, says Logan Robertson. What way are you saying that, Logan? Is in like because Honeycomb's injured? Or what's the go? And Rassi can't be happy, says I'd assume that he won't be too pleased with that injury. Please can I watch the game? The options are TVNZ Plus here in New Zealand, which is a free option if you have got a VPN to set yourself to a New Zealand location, or your other option's probably DSTV. Rugby's a hard game, but never good seeing these guys going off with serious injuries, says Mike. Now the Sharks still with their man advantage, but Ethan Hooker has the ball ripped out of his hands. And the length of the game just got on order of magnitude more difficult, says Christopher. Now kick downfield on the halfway line for Makazole Mapimpi. I mentioned about how many meters he had in the quarterfinal. He just made about 30 more. Hendrickse back across to the left-hand side. Well handled by Lucanio Amu. Bumps off David Creel and says, I am still the Springbok 13. Now in behind, once again going off to this right-hand side. Makazole Mapimpi. Tackled by Ambrose Papier. These South African team points too low for such a game. Have you thought about the fact, though, that if it's a low-scoring game, it's possibly because they're cancelling each other out? Because, like, we've seen great sides have low-scoring games before. Sometimes it's the defence that helps them keep it low rather than so much the attack. And now Hendrickse going after the left-hand side here. Apalele Fassi trying to step around the referee. Injuries happen, but regardless of who you support, I don't like seeing guys go off with bad injuries. How much longer on the yellow? Probably it will be expired once there is a stoppage. Now Oxenishare moving forward again. And Khaleesi took out box best prospect. Says Yako. You're the guy that got bullied at school by soccer hooligans. Shane Man says Stan, and I just realised I'm going to miss the Kiwi Lads URC. Says cool, that's nicely taken again. 10 metres out from the line. Jaden Hendrickse to Lucanio couldn't keep the ball alive, but I believe they will go back for the original penalty. And Bulls must win this game. They're the only team that can beat Leinster this year, says Rudolph. Yeah, it will be more of a challenge without Cameron Honeycomb. Still some great options in that loose forward trio, though. Sharks, 29 minutes. And hey, can we please recap of the game when you get a gap? I've just joined, says Sean. So we've actually got a stoppage here, so that will be the perfect time to do so. So early try coming for really neither of these sides, but eventually the Bulls able to get themselves a try of Kane and Moody. And we've also seen 3 yellow cards of the Bulls, 2 coming in very quick succession. And then we've just seen the injury of Cameron Honeycomb. The Sharks have scored themselves 1 try of Makazole Mapimpi. But there is still plenty to play for, and that last kind of 10 minutes or so will definitely be the difference maker in terms of who will end up slowing down. How long yellow card? Back to 15 now. Marcel Kutsia has made his way back on. Umbanambi just getting a little bit of communication going there. And they now know exactly where they're going to go with this line out. Short ball to Andre Esterhuizen. 5 metres out from the try line. Jaden Hendrickse across to Emil van Heeren. Currently, these two sides are separated by just these 7 points. Hendrickse back across to the right-hand side to Andre Esterhuizen. Hendrickse pops it up to Vincent Tichuka. Both Tichuka brothers on the field now. Oxenishare gets that a little bit closer again. Jaden Hendrickse, short ball off to Emil van Heeren. All but passes a gap, pick and go from Vincent Koch. 2 metres out now. Hendrickse searching for that ball in the breakdown. Skip past Jordan Hendrickse over the top. Oh, that's an ugly one. Willie LaRue taking out Lucanio arm off the ball, but the try is scored by Ethan Hooker. But they may check this, and the Bulls might find themselves in the bin again. But Ethan Hooker there getting the score. Oh, Willie LaRue, he didn't mean to do it, but he hit him extremely hard. And don't worry, Shark fans, the Sharks will wake up. They're just warming up. There's Aurora. And Hamish, you're on point. You said 7 points difference. Good call. And 2 points, not 7. Says Mike, well, now it is just the 2 points difference as they did just score. Now, Jaden Hendrickse has kicking responsibilities. They have decided that Jordan wasn't quite doing it for them. Oh, and he slipped over as well. So, unfortunately, it is not just one Hendrickse who's having a slip and a slide out there. Someone needs some big sprigs. Perhaps it could be the young man off the bench, Bradley Davids, that they do end up going for. Ethan scored. Prediction on point, Hamish. Says Lilia B. Going to bed, not worth staying awake in Australia if the Bulls keep making these stupid mistakes. Says Marco, no Springbok injuries. says Heather. But yeah, massive shot coming in on Lucanio arm. I believe they just called it an accidental incident. 15 on 15. 2 points difference between these two sides with 26 minutes to play in the semi-final to book a spot in the final up against Leinster. We'll never go to the beach in December again, says Truth and Justice. But now, how many yellow cards have been handed out? So far, 3. All to the Bulls. But the last time these two sides played, there were 4. 3 against the Sharks, 1 against the Bulls. It's almost a role reversal here, although for that to happen, oh, great run from Emmanuel to Chuka. Brilliant pace from the big man. He gets tackled on the halfway line. Philly LaRue knew there was going to be a clean out coming. So he manages to dodge it. Jaden Hendrickson now kicking the ball away again. Keegan Johannes passes across to Kane and Moody. I'm not actually sure who Johannes is on the field for. Kane and Moody tries to chip him behind it. Sits up for Makazole Mapimpi, who claims it on the halfway line. And as it says, Jackals World, welcome in. Calling it now 28 points to 24 in favour of the Bulls from Jamie. And where will the final be played if the Sharks win? No matter who wins this game, the final is still being played in Ireland. That is going to be now a knock-on against the Sharks. Their handling has hurt them all throughout the season. This time it was Hendrickson, another injury. This looked like Lucanio arm, I thought for a second there, but now I can't see his face because there's a knee in the way. Oh no, it's Bongiu Mbonambi who is down there for the Sharks, and he looks in a bad way. Yeah, big shot on Hendrickson. Where is Mbonambi in this scenario? In terms of where was... Oh no, sorry, it's actually Untatuku Machunu. Lucanio arm was not the man who got injured. He was the man who landed on the guy to injure him. It looks like Sebastian de Klerk also dealing with a couple injuries of his own here. This game, like I mentioned, it's going to be the case of who can somehow survive the injuries that will be happening, because I think both sides are going to have 3 or 4 going into their next game. Whoever makes it to the final, they will be the walk-in wounded, and Leinster will be licking their lips knowing that they've got a side that are not at 100%. Whatever Sharks said doing during the halftime is good, says Sue. Glasgow won. Where would the final take place? Whoever won this game would have been hosting the final had Glasgow beaten Leinster. And come on, the Bulls get a penalty from the scrum, says Suckable, and go the Bulls, says Lee. And he got rolled on, says Bill. Yeah, unfortunately, just Lucanio landing on his leg in an awkward manner. Now, going to be another scrum around that halfway line. They're talking about man of the match candidates at the moment. I think Sebastian de Klerk has to be relatively high up there on the list in terms of the way that he's been able to play. It must be cold in Pretoria. I think it's about probably, I think it was 15 degrees at the kickoff. So it's probably a little bit chillier now, I would think. In fact, it is 16 degrees Celsius. How many more minutes left in this game? Still another 25 minutes left. Scoreboard clock a little bit quick. After Sharks win, whereas the final played, still played as a home game for Leinster. No matter who wins this game, Leinster host. And it will be at Croke Park. Now Harold Foster, 40 metres out from the line, back across to the right-hand side. Now there is a nil advantage for the Bulls. They need a couple more tries just to feel that little bit safer, as we do know what happens in the last 10 to 15 minutes. I think that's actually an advantage against Untatuku Machunu for being offside. 15 degrees and dropping, says Mike. And Sharks come on, says Helene there. Penalty now. Oh. Right. What do they do? Do you go for the corner or do you take the 3? What's the score? The score is currently 13 points to 13. Or sorry, 15 points to 13. And go the Sharks, says Bevan. Right, they have decided to call for the shot here, the Bulls. It is safer. Might be the smarter move, but then saying that, this kick has to go over. We're seeing quite a few missing throughout this game. So we'll extend the lead that little bit more, though, to the 5 points. Bulls 30, Sharks 16, final score, says Foucher. And go the Sharks, says Allen. Lining up this kick, it is going to be Keegan Johannes. So he did make his way onto the field for Johan Hussen a little bit earlier on. And the clock spoils it a bit. But that's just life, says Marco. Yeah, sometimes it can be about 2 or 3 minutes delayed. Today it seems to be in a very quick hurry to get it on the ball, but that has gone over from the Bulls. And 18 points to 13 now the score for these two sides. Come on the Sharks. Here's Oriol, and must be midnight in New Zealand. Thank you for your commentary. It is currently sitting 5:40 a.m. here in New Zealand. We have been up. This is our 4th live stream. We did also do Leinster versus Glasgow as well as the 2 Super Rugby playoff games. We're on the verge of 24 hours of being awake, but this game is going to be a thrilling finish. Bulls claiming that one from inside of their 22. We're getting closer to that last 10 to 15 minute period, which is when it can normally be make or break. How many points have the Sharks kicked away? So far, they've missed, I think it's 3 kicks throughout this match. They've definitely missed 2. But yeah, I think 3 in total is how many that they have missed. So they have missed a total of 7 points. Oh, big shot on Intutuka Machuno, and that'll certainly test the knee out. And chopped down by Matanzima. Kaina Moody tackles Lucanio arm. Vincent Chuka offloading to his brother Emmanuel. 40 metres out from the line here for the Sharks. Hendrickse going back across to the right. The Sharks have to be the next side to score. So I doubt you're staying up for USC 316. Probably not. I'll try and catch a replay of the prelims a bit later on. But yeah, I don't think I'll catch much of it live at this stage. Not been a great weekend for the Sharks. Sale Sharks lost to Leicester. Says Geza. Crashed out at about 24 hours during the Brumbies game, says Bill. Now turnover's good for the Bulls. It's the Keegan Johannes who will kick it downfield off his left boot. There's been a lot of that today. Just the kicking down towards your opposition 40-metre line and hope they make a mistake. Everyone won't be back next week due to many concussions. Says Allen, 5 points down in the second for the Sharks is nothing exactly right. Like, they have come back from much larger margins, and the Bulls have conceded a lot more tries in the later stages of a game too. Kicked high from Jaden Hendricks. So what's the chance of a draw? Actually kind of high at this point in time. We could end up seeing 20 minutes of extra time happen again here, which would be pretty brutal. And sorry, I've not been paying attention how many more minutes left. It's currently 21 minutes remaining in this matchup. Now, Ambroise Papier putting it high again, taken 35 metres out from his own line. Apelele, fussy little chipper behind, but the Bulls trying to go for that pass was Ruan Nokia. Oh, Apelele, fussy, little bit of afters there after making the tackle, decided to get in the guy's face. Okay, I think the referee's just telling him settle down. And we have got this, I meant to say, not been a good weekend for the Sharks so far, says Geza. And 18 minutes to go, says Doc. They have just shown the crowd attendance. About 20 minutes, though. That clock is slightly quick. 47,214 in attendance for this game. One of the largest crowds that we have seen in quite some time for the URC. It's fantastic to see at Loftus. And no draw tonight in the cabinet, says a login. They are just showing at the moment the 3 who are leading, or in terms of the Man of the Match awards. It is Robillard, Wilco Lowe, and Sebastian de Klerk. And then for the Sharks, it's Vincent Chichuka or Makazole Mapimpi. And next score to be crucial, very much off the ball, time-wasting stuff, says Mike. Yeah, I think that with the tempo that it's been played at, as well as the altitude, I think both sides are hoping to get a few breaks here and there. A lot of flags being waved in the stands. And Loftus faithful, and that's a great attendance considering there wasn't even 20,000 at the other semi-final. Here's Geza. And we have got the Dolphins can get out of hand and needed to be disciplined. It's a big problem in Durban. And so yeah, from South Africa, says Rosalind, I am not, no. And great crowd, says Bill. And what did the Loftus supporters drink against the cold? And can't go to extra time. Eskom will be strained. Calling for candles, says Warren. Now scrum feed here. Sharks just inside, and that was an early push from the Bulls, which is going to lead to a free kick now in favour of the Sharks. They will look to go off to the right-hand side to Andre Esterhuizen, who flicks it out the back door to Ethan Hook. Another offload to Jordan Hendrickse. Just managing to find a way to the next hands. Oh, that was a risky offload. No, he has managed to regather it, although actually, now that I think about it, he's played that ball on the ground. Just the mistake. Tried to place the ball, ended up dropping it, so then went and grabbed it. And don't wink at Loftus, not to another man or woman. Just don't wink at Loftus, says Ragamuffin. And we have got there where the Bulls now losing on Loftus, says Andrew. Well, currently they are up by 5. But we are getting closer to that last 15 to 10 minute period where the Sharks normally come alive and the Bulls start to tire. Question is, can the adrenaline of this game and the momentous occasion of 47,000 watching on, will that be what can get them over the try line one more time? And I'll say it again, Fussy is getting a trying in this match, and again, Sharks finding a way to win. Says Massive and go the Bulls. And Hendrick's going to win. Says Cool Story. And come on the Sharks, and Leinster is going to win the final. Says Log in there too. Can the Sharks rise it? They're still in it. Like, that's the thing. It's close enough, not straight throw from the Bulls. So it will be a scrum now for the Sharks. And Irish always lose to South Africa, so no Bulls will. Says Nico. And leaving the best for last, says Regan. Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Definitely if the Sharks score in the next, I would say, 5 minutes or so. Just to really, get that adrenaline, and also, like I said, a little bit of heart racing for both sides heading into the final moments. It will be make or break. Already seen a couple close games in Super Rugby throughout this weekend. The last URC game not so close, but this one has potential of being the closest of them all. Now ball goes in. Jaden Hendricks around the halfway line. Big push both. Front row stand up now. Jordan fires it in behind to Ethan Hooker. Back line working well. Upper Lily Fussy has Makazole Mapimpi with him and manages to find him right next to the sideline. As the Bulls get themselves the penalty, it is Marco van Staden who got in there and managed to rip it away. Argus Neyman waiting, says Xander, and go the Sharks, says Craig. And my prediction is 20 points to the Bulls, 18 to Leinster, says Nico in there too. But Makazole Mapimpi here, 1 goal in mind, and that was to get over that line. It gets stopped early though. And Hamish, let's do the maths on this. The Sharks are playing at altitude, and they are still the favourites for cleaning the Bulls out in the last 10 minutes. Does that say the Bulls' fitness is off? Not necessarily. That just says the Bulls throughout the season have had a tendency, no matter where they are in the world, to make some big mistakes later on. We saw them in their game up against Glasgow, playing in Scotland without the altitude factor, and they still seem to just make those little mistakes. But yeah, it's going to be an intriguing last 15. Bulls, they have won themselves their line out, about 40 metres out from their try line. This rolling ball is marching nicely here. And Baros Papier thought about grabbing it, but decided there are still more metres to be made. And scorer is Bulls 21-20. Can't you guys see it? Says Andrew, not at this stage. We haven't seen another try from the Sharks. Oh, nice take from Kane and Moody under the high ball. Makazole Mapimpi. He was almost in off his feet there, yeah. He was. It was the second go at it. And Bulls get too many yellow cards. Is Williams on yet? I don't think so. Oh, Makazole Mapimpi having a bit of a chat to the sideline referee. Now, we've already learnt that you've got to be very careful swearing at the ref. And by that, I mean you probably shouldn't, because or else might reverse it. And please, Sharks, says Rambo. And last year in the final at the stadium, Bulls didn't want it. Says Nico, I just know the Sharks have a big tank, especially at Loftus, says Ruggamuffin. And they do now, says Nico. Time left currently a little bit more than that. Probably about 16 minutes left on the clock at this current point in time. Now, I have to say, Makazole Mapimpi there, second crack at it on the ground. And, he's penalised for something similar to what we saw for Harold Foster in the first half. In a similar position on the field, Foster did get a yellow card for that. Now Keegan Johannes to line up this kick, wanting to add the extra 3. And he's missed it away to the right-hand side. I think we've seen 6 kicks or so missed throughout this game. And, those are a lot of points that are still out there. This is where I start pacing, says Lilia B. We are heading into the graveyard shift. Bye-bye, Bulls, says Ruggamuffin. See Khaleesi still on. How's this game today? Under or over a 7 out of 10? I'd probably give him about a 7, to be honest. He's been solid enough throughout the game. He did, unfortunately, end up with that injury on Cameron Honeycomb, which looks like Honeycomb might be out. Bradley David's going to make his way onto the field now. He was a bit of a superstar in the kickoff last week. Nicely taken by Rohan Nokia. So 45 metres out from the line, and Ros Papia pops the ball up to Cobus Vesey. Here's David Creel with him, who will manage to score it with the big dive too. And the Bulls, perhaps they know about that last 10 minutes, so they've decided we've got to score as many times as we can just beforehand. And my Stormer and Shark friend watching that is the highlight of the URC, says Logan. And Bulls will play with 10 and still win this year, says Nico. And go the Bulls, let's send them Durban back to their rice fields, says Martin. And the Bulls are living dangerously. They should have won this game long time ago. And the Bulls are going to need it for the last 15 minutes, says Ruggamuffin. And we have now ticked over into that last 15. This is the time where the game will be won or lost. And what the Sharks do next is absolutely crucial. A long way back for the Sharks now, says Geza, exactly right. Currently sitting with 13 minutes remaining. Keegan Johannes sitting 1 from 2 today. He did just miss his last one. Got 5 seconds left on the clock, so trying to use up a lot of time too. And the kick has gone over. 25 points to 13 here now. This difference of 12. 2 converted tries needed for the Sharks. If they convert one and miss one, we're going to golden point again. Extra time, I should say. Being a Stormers fan, I have no dog in this fight, but if the winner of this game playing like this faces Leinster wailing and gnashing of teeth in some part of South Africa, says Neil. And 2 more tries, then we will start packing for Ireland, says Sue. And all over, says James. That's it for the Sharks. The way they play, they won't make a win, says Mike. And yeah, unfortunately, the trend from the last few games has just carried over again, and that is the abundance of handling errors that we have seen from the Sharks side. 12 minutes now remaining, though. Please, not another kick out, says Xander. It's kicked forward by Mbros Papier. Now well taken by Apalele Fasi to Ethan Hooker on the outside. The one big credit to the Sharks is this is when they start to play and when they seem to be able to speed up in a game. Rush defence on Andre Estes, and Bradley Davids goes off to the left-hand side again. Jordan Hendrickse off to Vincent Tchuka. Is it a coincidence? I've just had the thought. Of course, they just took Jaden Hendrickse off. Is it a coincidence that when Hendrickse makes his way off the field, the Sharks start to play a lot quicker and score more tries? Or is it just, just a coincidence in that regard? I'm having a nightmare. Says Sakabula, no humidity in Pretoria. Sharks can't blame that for the handling errors. I was so happy Andre Pollard will be back with the Bulls next season, says Willem. And well, Bulls score another try. And you're not wrong, Hamish, says Ruggamuffin. Yeah, unfortunately, just another handling error there for the Sharks. They are coming too thick and fast, not to be negative, but I reckon the Bulls will hold on. Says, cool story, bro. But now, 11 minutes. I know the Sharks are in the playoffs, but Plumtree is not a fantastic coach. How do you have such a loaded team with Springboks, but they play so mediocre? Says Marco on 3 cards and still we hit great balls. Says Outlaw, and you're correct, Hamish. Hendrickse is so slow. Says Christopher, and go Sharks, go. Says Timothy, and there too. Marco said it, says Lillian. Just showing once again the man of the match contenders. I think Sebastian de Klerk's got to be right up there in terms of what he has done for the Bulls today. And Davids moves the ball so much faster than Jaden, says Bill. And humidity at Loftus is 44%. Is that ideal for rugby or too high? It's not too bad. The biggest problem that the Sharks have had is no matter where they've played, no matter the altitude, no matter the weather, lately they have had more than 10 handling errors a game. And you just can't win rugby matches with numbers like that. Fun fact, a drought in Ireland is the wet season in other countries. Says Pyman, and Bulls are showing their heart now, says Floris. And play in their half, Sharks, and don't let us slip, boys, give it horn. So we are now in the last 10 minutes of this game. So the prediction, ladies and gents, who is going to win it from here, the Sharks or the Bulls? We have got there proud of both teams, but the Sharks are tired. Bulls can beat Leinster. And the score is my score is very close, says Regan. Now rolling this one back. And Bros Papier, they've talked about it now. The control of the game is what the Bulls have to concentrate on. Kane and Moody chasing after it, slapping it back onto the side of the Bulls. Of course, one more try here would definitely get the job done. Now Papier. Now going off to Mako Fun starting. Kobus Visa. A nice low tackle on him. Now running through again, this time Keegan Johannes, massive wide cutout pass for Devin Williams towards the corner, sells the dummy and just slips over short of the try line. The ball is there and the Sharks manage to get themselves, they're still only 3 metres out from their own line. Check this move, hooker time. And where are they now? At the moment, they are only 3 metres out from their own line here. The Sharks, it's been in the news and the contract signed and sealed. Pollard gave up massive contracts to be with the Bulls. Wants to be around for the box. Says Willem there. If it was 7 points different, Sharks could get it. But 2 converted tries under pressure is too much, I think, says Xander. A kick downfield from Upper Lele Fasi. This one will be about 20 metres out from the line for the Bulls. In a more than competent position on the field to be able to score. And that's it. Bulls keep them right there. My score of 32 points, 19. Bulls is getting close. Bulls all the way final. We are on our way, says Junay there. Now 8 minutes, we see Vincent Dichuka. He is really feeling it here. It just seems to be that extra fatigue because the altitude is really setting in. An electric blanket is a massive money saver. We got rid of our heaters. Says cool story, bro. And Christopher said Bulls 26, Sharks 15. And Papia is playing good Rassi. Says Outlaws, however, Rugby is funding nearly $12 million for Pollard's contract to help the Bulls. Says Christopher. Oh. Okay, I've just heard there from Andrew Brace that there's a bit of an injury for one of the Bulls players, but because they've made all their subs, he has to keep playing. So it is either play with an injured 14 and a half, or they will have to play with 14. It's not the first time in this game that the Bulls have had 14 on the field, though. If they were to do that, Sharks had their final last week like the Bulls last year against Leinster in the semis. That's why they lost at Glasgow. Says Willem, I promised myself I will stop drinking if the Sharks go through to the final. Says Rugger, but now the Bulls, they are in possession. Marcel Kutsia. Good position on the field. 22 out from the Sharks line with Marco Fun starting. Now Papier looking off to the right-hand side again. Finds Ruan Nokia. Don't worry about the score. We must just win. Let's go, Bulls. And I was closer than I thought. Thanks for remembering, Regan, says Christopher. And Leinster is crying they don't want to play the Bulls again, says Janae. I think, honestly, like Leinster looking at this game will go, both of these sides are absolutely smashing each other. And they'll feel pretty confident going into next week. Although it is still hard to be confident when they have not managed to win the URC. Big kick from Jordan Hendricks. They're looking for the 50-22, but well watched and controlled by Villy LaRue. Stops it from being a Sharks line out from inside. Set about 40 metres out. Are my comments not showing? They are, Heather. I'm trying my best to read all of them, but there are so many going by that every once in a while we don't quite get through absolutely all of them. But normally what we do when it is going too quickly is I'll normally go through and read the comments after the live stream. So anything that gets said I'll probably see later on anyway. Heater, says Paul. And how many years have South Africa participated in the URC? This is their 4th year. They won the first year with the Stormers. They've been in the final every single year since. But this is going to be the first final that takes place outside of South Africa. Let's go the Bulls. Full support from Botswana, says Gary, so welcome in. I couldn't make it to the game, stuck on Swaziland border. The stream is quite good, thank you, says Shumani. Thank you very much. We are going to be back next week for the final as well. Bradley Davids going off to the right-hand side. This is now or never for the Sharks team. 6.5 on the clock. They need a try, and they need it very soon. Hendricksa looking for the skip pass. Gets it out wide to Makazole Mipipi with the inside border. Up and Lele Fasi. And it's knocked on by Mapimpi. That may have just been that moment, and in fact the Bulls will get themselves the penalty and get marched back 10 for the Sharks. I think it was Mapimpi who did say something to the referee and got his side marched back 10 metres. I promised myself, put on the effort to burn off my warts with dry ice and not cigarettes if the Sharks win. And can't deny South African clubs have really enhanced the URC, says Gezi. They've certainly added another element to this competition. And let's have a walk in the park today. That's not necessarily a good thing for momentum and having your players battle ready, says Paul. But yeah, I think the Bulls, if they do win this game, like I said, they cannot be 100%. They've only got 7 days to be able to turn it around. One of those days will be taken up fully from travelling. Another will be the recovery of this game. It's going to be tough, but if the Bulls can dig deep in that final, it would be very impressive to watch. It's not done by insert Sharks player here, literally the story of their season, says Marco. Yeah, unfortunately, it has just been a massive trend. And thank you, Bulls, says Gerhard, and Sharks supporter should consider being Bulls now. Says Neko, and better the Bulls to play in the final, more likely to win. Says Roger, and that one's going to be a competitive line out, well claimed by Marco van Staden. Now we tick into the remaining 5 minutes of the semi-final. It is all but written. Leinster versus the Bulls at Croke Park. Unless the Sharks can find a way through. And time to go to bed. In there from, it was Devos. And also our Bulls will beat Leinster, says Forche. And the Bulls physios will be very busy over the next few days. Exactly right, all well taken by Makazole Mapimpi, who does call the mark from inside of his 22. Since the South African sides joined the URC, more and more star players returning to South Africa shows the quality of the URC to attract the Box and the ABs. Says Willem. Now Billy LaRue kicks it out on the full for the Bulls. A mistake coming from the veteran. No wine left for Tuesday tomorrow. It's going to be enjoyed after the match, says Mike. And Leinster will win the Bulls, says Helene. What did you think of this game overall? It's been okay. I do think that with the South African derby, with the expectations going into this game, it can be hit or miss. This one for me wasn't as good as the last time that they played or the time prior, but, playoff rugby can do that sometimes. It can be a bit, lackluster, but, it's still well controlled by the Bulls, if that makes sense. They've done everything they've needed to be able to win. Oh, that's a mistake from Keegan Johannes. He tried to call the mark, but he dropped the ball. So it is now going to be the line out for the Sharks on the 22. Villy needs to go into retirement, an old age village, says Mike. Rasmus leave race issue, says Logan. And Sharks make a comeback. Do you think they can? If they're going to, they have to score right now. And to be fair, the mistake has been made by the Bulls, which has put the Sharks in a good position on the field to be able to at least have one last crack. But 3 minutes remaining. That is not a lot of time at all. Now going to be taking on the line out here, the Sharks from the 50-22. And now it's going to be overthrown. The Sharks managing to pick it up with Andre Esterhazen, who gets his legs pumping towards the try line. Bradley Davids. A honeycomb injury, looks serious, looks like he's out for the season, unfortunately. He was on that green whistle very quickly, and he was still feeling the pain through it. Now Pepsi Buthelezi puts in the fend again here. A penalty for the Bulls, says Regan. But now Vincent Tichuka. Bradley Davids going off to the left-hand side. Now Davids trying to get quick ball, but that one is stuck in there. The Bulls almost managing to kill that one off completely. That's okay, but a little sloppy. Yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it. Like, there's been some really good moments, but overall, like, the amount of handling errors we've seen from both sides has made it a bit stop-start. That's a nothing pass from the Sharks, trying the overhead one from Jordan Hendrickson, and it's gone forward. How does one get this green whistle? The green whistle is given out when you've got a severe injury that they know that you're in huge pain for. Announcement of the Afrikaans players' names and surnames, super excellent. Says Mike, thank you very much. And of course, we are going to be back for that Bulls versus Leinster final. I feel like we're safe enough to say it now after Jordan Hendrickson just going for a no-look pass over his head, which, I mean, it just wasn't smart in that case from Hendrickson, all-white Bulls team. Only for other South African teams, says Frank. Okay, yeah, no, I see why you said for Frank to settle it down a little bit. But surely, like, if Frank just looks at the lineup, he would learn otherwise. Let's raise our glasses and congratulate the Bulls guys as green whistle morphine. Yep. Yeah, so pretty much it kind of puts you in a happy place while you're feeling a lot of discomfort. And time him out, says Gez. I believe if a mod didn't get him, I will be able to. We have got there, well done, my Bulls. Says Wildlife South Africa, and thanks again, Hamish. Your commentary is fantastic as usual. Says Ruth, and Bulls versus Leinster, epic stuff, and a glass and a half for the Bulls, 110%. We have got there, how many cups has the Bulls won? If we're talking about the URC, they have won 0. They have not got themselves a single URC title. They have been in 3 finals, but have not been able, 2 finals, I believe it is, and they get themselves another penalty. With just the 25 or so seconds remaining, they should be able to get the job done now. Bulls settle down, says Ruth. That's for the commentary till next time. Says Francois, thank you very much for being here. And now just the 20 seconds left. What are the Bulls going to decide on? They will go for touch here, and absolutely Heather. And see you next week, Munster fan. So I'll be shouting for the Bulls, says Patrick. I was hoping for a closer score here, but the Sharks did us all proud, says Xander. Yeah, I know that, like, some people won't like this result, but I do have to say, like, for the Sharks to be here after where they were last season is such a massive improvement. And Sarah tried his best to keep Honeycomb in the box squad, but Fate had a different plan, says Paul. And she says it was a very physical, bruising and exhausting game for the boys. Going to be a tough one in the final, says Marco. Yeah, whoever makes it forward, which of course will now be the Bulls, they will be feeling it. And like I said, they have hardly any time to be able to recover. What time next week is the game? I'm not 100% sure. I think it is 4 p.m. South African, 2 p.m. For the URC, or 2 a.m. for us, sorry. I'll just have a quick look. See whether or not they've got the time on the URC website. Grand final. It says it's scheduled for 4 a.m. New Zealand time, so that would be 6 p.m. South African for when that one is taking place. We have got their Bulls will win the URC, says for share. But yeah, once again, we get to see a South African side through to the URC final. Of course, a big congratulations to this Bulls side. They had to fight hard. We didn't really see the comeback that people were expecting from the Sharks. Now, the question is, was that because of how the Bulls played? Or was that because of how the Sharks played throughout their last 10 minutes? Because if it is because of how the Bulls played, that is great news for this Bulls side, because they will have to play an 80-minute game up against Leinster in the final. See you for the Blues Crusaders game, says Bill. And if we feel like it, we may even do that World Test Championship for the cricket. This is taking place midweek. And it is happening between South Africa and Australia. So do let me know if that is something you guys are keen on seeing. Now, of course, we can't guarantee everything for that World Test Championship final. But I would like to at least do some of it on the channel. I feel like that would be quite nice. And pretty good Plumtree. And the Sharks have not played at their potential for the last 5 games. And give it horns, says Outlaw. And their Hamish says Suckable. And there, the Sharks are loaded with money and players. I don't feel sorry for them. Says Fleshin. And also next year, Sharks, thanks so much for your great dedication. They go the Bulls. Says Albert. And also 4 different winners in 4 different seasons. What other competition can claim as much unpredictability? Says Willem. Yeah, there aren't too many around. Have that sort of, I guess, I was going to say inconsistency, but that's not the right word because all these sides, of course, have been putting together week in, week out some brilliant performances. The game is over, go to bed. Says Marco. Well, that's the thing. It's now like 6:10 a.m. So now I always have this stage after a big weekend of streaming where I think to myself, do I just stay up? But I think in about an hour's time, when my head smacks onto my desk, I will probably decide no. But for now, I do thank you all very much for being here. Player of the match did go to Sebastian de Klerk. 73% of the votes did go in his favour. Second highest was 15% for Makazole Mapimpi. And good night from Namibia. Thanks for the good commentary and the ever-exciting vibe watching. Says Mike there. And yeah, we are going to be back next week, like I mentioned, for that final. The Bulls versus Leinster in Ireland. It's going to be a big game, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. But thank you all very much for being here, and I will see you all for the next